Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Greg and Despot show. We're finally giving it a name. I decided just to call it that because I couldn't be bothered with some wanky or difficult to recall acronym or something. So anyway, let's bring in my co-host, and he's not just a co-host. All right, here he is, Greg. On. It's very important that Greg know that he's he's a big part of this.
I am.
It's not just my show; it's our show. Okay.
Until I get edited out of the photographs later.
So just remember
I noticed that I'm Travolta. I'm the one that dies. Rough.
How you doing, Greg?
I am wonderful. How about yourself, sir?
Doing well. Yeah, doing well. I'm running a lot more these days because of the nice weather.
Yeah. Well, and you caught Johnny Somali, and I feel like that's a win for everybody. So
that was so good. I mean, because the other good thing is South Korea. Hold on, let me bring Dark R in case you want to join the conversation about Johnny Somali. Say hi to Dark R, everybody. His channel linked.
It's just what you do with it, Dark Hour. Don't you worry, buddy.
But yeah, he was walking around South Korea, pissing everybody off, sending like unsolicited deep fakes of people and all sorts of other criminal activity, like going into shops and grabbing people's cup ramyun and just like upturn them on the table. But what really pissed everybody off is when he twerked or did sort of dance with a war memorial for victims of Japanese sexual slavery, like where they captured 300,000 Korean girls and forced them to work as sex slaves for the Japanese army. And that really pissed people off because that's a very sensitive topic in Korea. So 6 months
probably should be. Just going to throw that out there. I think that would be.
6 months is a good result, and apparently he's going to appeal it, which means he has to stay in Korea even longer. And they're going to keep him here, and then they're going to do the appeal process, which is going to take a while, and then he's going to go to jail. So it's good. And the beautiful thing is he can't really do anything on YouTube or whatever fucking godforsaken platform he's on while all this shit is happening. By the time it's all over, hopefully, like, the winds will have changed and the internet will have moved on from that whole fucking insufferable, what do you even call them? Like nag streamers or what is that sort of
no, they're just loud
and cancerous type of streamer who goes out in public to annoy and bother people. Is there a name for that?
Oh, there's a term for it.
It was almost like the old pranker videos. At least
nuisance streamers. Yeah,
I'm hoping that the internet will have moved on from nuisance streamers, kind of in the same way it's moved on from the sort of corny, cringe alpha male Andrew Tate type content that was very popular in the early 20s and has sort of just become embarrassing now.
No shit, I better leave the show then.
Yeah, he's just fucking Dark R Alpha. That's what his channel should be called.
I mean, Andrew Tate got the playbook from me. I mean, come on.
What I miss ghetto pranks. Those were the fun ones where stupid college white kids would go to the ghetto and just try to basically get stabbed. And sometimes they got punched, and it was great. It was wonderful. It was all fun and games until somebody actually got hit.
Challenges were good back when they did like good challenges, not grab someone and throw their head into a public toilet challenge, but actual fun ones. When they did the best one was the milk crate challenge. This one was hilarious. It was you stacked up a bunch of milk crates and tried to climb to the top and then climb back down. It sounds easy. It was actually, when you look at the videos, it's astonishingly difficult, and there are some absolutely epic crash outs on it, just hilarious shit. But the best one is when they win. There's like one because it was a ghetto thing. There's one where the woman's climbing it. She's climbing the milk crates, and she climbs down, and then she grabs a big stack of dollars, which she's won from the challenge. Really uplifting. All right, so we're going to.
I'm very enthralled with this story about
milk crate.
You know what? I feel like we got to find one later in the show, because if you've never seen the milk crate challenges, it is
videos are really funny. They're really
people start with such confidence, and then they get to the top, and they when the crates go, they think they can dive, but just gravity doesn't work. You can't gravitate to the side. It doesn't work that way.
All right, so we're going to start by talking about Michael, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch this. It hasn't released in South Korea yet, and I wasn't able to find any other means of watching it.
So should have asked me. I had one.
Oh,
yeah, I could have sent you.
What did you think? So Dark, you've seen it. What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw it. Okay. Well, fair enough.
I was in Switzerland at the time.
Great. So this movie has done very well thus far. It's made $217 million on its opening weekend on a budget of 200 million. So it's going to make a ton. It's going to make a lot of money no matter what happens now. Although the reviews, the Rotten Tomatoes critics reviews are atrocious. So it has 38% from critics and 97% from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. In case you're wondering how that can happen, Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an awful system. The way the system works is it's not actually an average. It's just an average of positives. So what that means is 97% of reviews from audiences are in some way positive, meaning they're like I think they count 6 out of 10 as a positive review, actually. So if it gets 97, 6 out of 10 reviews, or if it gets 100, 6 out of 10 reviews, then it would get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, not 60%. So it's an incredibly stupid system, which is one of the reasons you get that result. But yeah, critics are hating this, and it's much, much lower on Metacritic. If you go over to Metacritic, it's got it would be the equivalent of Rotten Tomatoes 60-something%. Anyway, that's enough of me talking about what they think of it. I haven't seen it. So, Darkar, what did you think?
So I just watched it earlier today, and my first initial thought as it was coming to an end was I don't know if they really knew what kind of movie they wanted to make. Obviously, they wanted to make a biopic. But I mean, it seems like they keep jumping so hard between the good and bad, and they rush through so much stuff. It's his rough childhood, and then they almost speed through that, which I can kind of understand. People want to see a kid getting beaten. I can understand wanting to maybe not show as much of that. But then it's the wild swings, of his career, these really important moments in his life that are a couple of minutes on screen and then never talked about again. And it really, I know that they're possibly doing another movie because this one ends at such a weird spot too, right at the height of his popularity. Yeah. And, it just seemed like, it was a little too flowery at moments, and possibly the family had a little too much say in it. I know they pretty much produced the whole thing, but they didn't. A lot of the negatives were just not negative enough, and a lot of the positives were, almost. It looked like a EKG. It was just boom, 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 boom the whole way. And on top of that, some of the things were either omitted. A lot of stuff was omitted or put in the wrong part of his life, like the wrong year. So it was just really strange overall. I mean, it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen in terms of biopics. But I can imagine that unless you're a Michael Jackson super fan, you'd probably be kind of like, I feel like you're missing something. There's parts of it are missing almost.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think?
I mean, overall, I was shocked that the critics gave it such a low score because I felt like overall I enjoyed it. Structurally, I thought that it was one of the better biopics that I had seen because, and we've talked about this before, a lot of biopics are just like, here's some shit that happened, just here's some events and then there you go, right? And you're trying to summarize this entire person's life in 2 hours. And I felt like this one was, they actually had a point to it, which I thought was really great. It was just, how did the band start? And in the movie, Joe Jackson is basically the villain of this movie. And he makes a great villain. And what's his name? Actually, hang on. I gotta pull I have notes, by God.
His agent,
no, the guy that plays Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
Coleman Domingo, who was he was the announcer in Running Man, if you'll remember him. So he was the show announcer. Yeah. So no, you stay there. You stay over there. All right. So he did a great job as Joe Jackson, and he was basically the villain of the movie, and he did a really good job. And like I said, structurally, it was one of the better biopics because at least there was a point. The point of this movie is the band getting famous and then Michael breaking away from his father and coming out and stopping fearing his father, because in the beginning of the movie, he does get beaten, and it was hard to watch. Like it was rough. And so you see Joe pushing them, and he's the stage dad, and he, you know, has everybody in line under his thumb and all this, and then they get famous, and Michael's the most famous one. And you see that development of people realizing that he's the most talented one, but he's still terrified. Like there's a scene where he asks the label to pretend that it was their idea that he make a solo album because he just still can't stand up to his dad. He has his new agent fire his dad because he can't do it. And then the movie ends with him agreeing to do the victory tour with his whole family, and then announcing that this is it. This is the, you know, this is, and he's looking at his dad as he's saying, this is our farewell tour, whatever. Basically, he is going to be his own man now. So he's finally able to look at his father and say that. So there is like an actual story. There's a real arc in this movie. And then Dark House, right? Like there are weird points, like his hair catching on fire. It kind of fits into the narrative, but there are some things like that where they just feel tossed in. But then there are other events in his life that they show how they develop and how it fits into the story that they're telling. Like one of the other big themes is basically he never had a childhood. His childhood was stolen from him is kind of one of the big points of the movie. And so they're explaining his childlike behavior as basically this rebellion for never having a childhood and then suddenly having all the money in the world to make it happen. So, you know, he doesn't have any friends and he wants a llama. So he buys a damn llama. He buys a monkey, you know, like he buys Bubbles. And so the movie is kind of making this case that these weird behaviors are basically a grown little boy who has infinite money and wants to all the little boy dreams. He, you know, you want a Ferris wheel in your backyard? Fuck yeah, I can afford a Ferris wheel now. So boom, Neverland Ranch, baby. Like I'll do what I want. So those are kind of the two big things. And the other thing that I appreciate, and I know Despot, you talked about this with Bohemian Rhapsody, especially where like Freddie Mercury just shits out this song. One of the things I think this movie does really well is they show the process of him coming up with the Thriller album. And he doesn't just wake up with an idea and is like, oh, sweet idea for this song. Like they show him maybe watching some horror movies and he's inspired by them and he writes Thriller, and they show the process of him kind of coming up with the lyrics and how they want to structure the songs because he wants to make this incredible album. And just structurally there was a lot more going on for this movie other than most biopics that you see. And also they had the entire discography from the Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson. So the music was amazing. Like it's all they had to do was play the best hits. It was, I mean, it was a good movie. It's not my thing. Like I would not have watched it if it weren't for having to talk about it tonight, but I definitely enjoyed it much better than like Maestro and Bohemian Rhapsody and
I suspect if I were to watch this, I would probably quite enjoy it because I am coming, like my low bar for biopics is fucking Maestro at Nina, fucking Nina with Zoe Saldana, which is just one of the worst performances ever in anything. It's shocking. I've that fucking Bob Marley one that they did, which was awful, so fucking.
Oh, One Love.
Just fucking flat out lied. Like Bob Marley, he did write a handful of good songs. I think his music's quite overrated, to be honest, because when you listen to his albums, they're so fucking boring. It's just a handful of really good, catchy tunes he wrote. But other than those, his music is just tedious as fuck and very, very, very repetitive. But anyway, the guy, when it comes to his personal life, was just a bum. Just a bit of a lazy bum. Like he had all these kids running around. I think he had 13 kids to 11 women, and that's just the kids that were confirmed. There's also like various bastard children that are unconfirmed. And apparently he didn't spend any time with his kids. He just fucking let them range free while he got high with his hangers on and played football all day. And that's it. He's just a very boring man when it comes down to it. And the movie was very, very boring because of that. And I was having to make shit up to try to make him interesting. Stuff like it pretended that the album cover for Exodus is some sort of iconic cover and that there was a debate about it. And it's not. It's just matte brown cover with a kind of corny dated word font for Exodus, and that's it. It's very low effort. Most of his covers were no effort. It was just a random photo of the band. He didn't give a shit. So that was a dreadful movie. You know, I think Michael would be a way, way, way above that, like many steps above that. Forget it. We're not even going to talk about Maestro. Maestro is just Maestro. I would say Maestro is unwatchable. Now, that's a word that gets thrown around a lot. It's abused a lot. Like, would I call Bob Marley One Love unwatchable. No, it's not unwatchable. It's a watchable but very boring movie. But it is watchable. Maestro is not watchable. It's an unwatchable movie because it's very boring. It's very pretentious. It's filmed like a student art house movie with lots of sort of still wide shots, which just hold for minutes at a time. The dialogue is often very obscure. Like you'll cold open in the middle of a scene and they're talking. You have no idea what they're talking about. And it's just awful. It's one of the worst movies of the 20s. Like one of the worst biopics ever made. That's unwatchable. So this, compared to that, I'm sure Michael would be a reasonably enjoyable movie, if not great.
So when it comes to, I was saying that there's some events that I wish that. So first of all, the structure I think should have been done a little differently, because they almost start with it as a flashback in the very beginning, and then it just stays there, right? They show a very brief amount of him as like an adult, and then it just stays in 66 and then goes to 73, I believe. And I would have I think it would have been better if they went through because what Greg was saying, the best part of the movie was him making the songs, making the videos, showing that process. But it was such a short amount of time in it. It was maybe out of the 2 hours, it was maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, somewhere in that range. I would have actually loved to have seen him making all of his best songs, and having flashbacks to his past as they went along as a structure. But even so, they even like omitted certain details. So like one of the reasons why he gets in real life, he got so attached to pets and stuff because he viewed them as his friends, and they were so desperate to make the mother not have any negative qualities whatsoever that they completely omitted the fact that she was the one who got rid of all of his pets when like she was like, no, you can't bring them with us when we move to California. They got to stay here and die. And his first one of his first hit songs was about a pet rat, and they completely omit that whole section of his life. And I feel like they did that specifically just to paint her in a better light than they might have if they added it. So the omissions in that instance there's a little bit of revisionist history involved. I would have loved to have seen it go further too. I mean, I think they have to do a second one because you can't not. There's too much crazy shit that happens after this movie ends.
Yeah.
To not talk about it,
But I think that was a smart call though, because and at the end of there was a text card that said, something like there's more to his story or Michael's story continues or something to that effect. So I do think that the success of this and the way that they ended it feels like, okay, now we're going to pick up part 2, which I think is smart because this guy's career is enormous. How are you going to, you would be chopping it so badly if you tried to fit his whole life into one movie. So, I hope I think they will do part 2.
I know that this isn't difficult to do with makeup, but I would be interested to know how they plan to make him white because like Michael Jackson, I don't know what the skin condition was called, but like melanin disappears. What's it called?
Vitiligo.
It'd be interesting to see how they replicate that on screen. That's a very interesting sort of makeup challenge for the makeup artist because it could look corny and weird if they do it wrong. But I'd be interested just to see how they did that from a filmmaking perspective.
They showed it a little bit briefly. They showed like patches on his skin. There's like one scene where he's in a pool and you see it up and down his arms, almost like little. It almost just looks like splotches of makeup that got like if someone was like checking how makeup looked on their skin, kind of looked a little bit like that. But yeah, they didn't really go into too much detail about that. There was only one scene where he goes to a doctor and is like, "Yeah, the cream's working, doc. See you later. See you next time." Like it was okay.
He was applying cream to make himself white or to prevent.
No. So when you have vitiligo, there's like creams that essentially slow it down and then also can make it more even, like less. Like less like dark. It kind of like blends it better. You can't reverse the process. It's not something but you can slow it down.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was, I think if I would be interested to like have a young person like in their early 20s watch this, because there was one scene, like part of the whole motivation with Joe Jackson was him telling his kids like so, some of the shit, like somebody mentioned the Dewey Cox story in the comments, like it was the Dewey Cox opening, like he's about to go on stage, and then somebody should have narrated like, Michael's got to think about his whole life, because then it jumps right back to his childhood. But also his dad basically should have just been like, you're first or you're last. He said, kids, you're a winner or you're a loser in this life. But there was a scene that I thought was funny, and I would love to get a young person's reaction, because Joe Jackson is like, kids, we got to go on the road. We got to do this. We got to make something, you guys, because you don't want to end up like me. You don't want to have my life be an iron worker. They had a beautiful ranch they were living in, own their own house. He's raising like 5-6 kids on his own. His mom stays home, and he's like, you don't want this fucking life. And I'm sure right now young guys are watching this movie like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Joe? Like, what are you talking about? I would kill for that life.
That's such a massive generational difference, you know. Like there's this scene in Fight Club where Tyler Durden says, you know, we were told that we were going to be rock stars and you know, movie stars, but we fucking won't, and we're angry about it. It's a great speech. And today, if you had like a Gen Zer or even a young millennial make that same speech, it would be something like, we were raised to believe we'd have jobs and houses, but we won't. And it's fucking true. Like, it's so bad when you actually look into like what the economy looks like for young people. Here's an amazing statistic, right? So Canada is I don't know, number 29 in the happiness index, right? Over 60s in Canada, they're still top 10. Under 30s are like number 78 for like, if you were to treat them as their own country. So younger people in Canada are fucking miserable, right? But older people are quite happy. Now that doesn't make any sense, right? Because, you know, the older people are the guys with the health problems. They're the guys with the tire around their waist that they just can't get rid of. They're the guys with, you know, have to go to the doctor all the time to deal with some chronic condition, and you know, don't get looked at sideways by the opposite sex anymore, but they're happier than you. Do you know what I mean? And it's just because of the horrible economy that has been created for young people. When you go into the numbers of it, it really is absolutely shocking and just terrible. Like AI, mass immigration, private equity, anything you like, anything that can crush the opportunities and wages of young people, it's being actively done and it's being invested in. It's really horrible. I could go on and on about it.
No, it's rough. And the problem is, like, there is no, well, it's decimated, but yeah, there's no iron. Like, you can't just go be an iron worker and just, you know, head down to the steel plant, make steel, whatever.
If I could have, if at the age of like 22, someone had said, hey man, do you want a job at an iron plant? And then you'd be able to afford a house and have some kids, I'd have been elated.
Yeah, it's like you basically nowadays you have to decide, you have to make a decision and hope that you made the right decision at like 16. You have to be like, this is what I want to do when I get out of here, and I'm going to do it. And have more than 3/4 of people, it's like, that was a horrible idea. It didn't work.
Well, my point is the father's right though, because, you know, if they hadn't listened to him and gone off and been pop stars, they would have just ended up as, you know, scratching around, grabbing whatever kind of work they could get, living in some shithole. Maybe get stabbed by some crazy guy from the ghetto. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not wrong. You can accuse him of being cruel.
Yeah.
You can disagree with his methods, but not his goals. Absolutely not. Especially from the perspective of our generation, when we see how wretched life is and the prospects, how wretched the prospects are for young people today. You sort of look at someone like Joe Jackson and you think, guy kind of has a fucking point. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you hate to agree with someone who did that kind of shit to their kid, but like you can understand that it definitely it was almost like precognitive of him to see ahead that this was not gonna be a forever life, and that they should probably just, with the talent, specifically Michael's talent. Like, obviously they're all talented. Don't get me wrong, they were all very talented. But like, Michael was generational talented from a very young age. So like, I can understand why somebody would try to latch on to that immediately.
Well, you'd be right to, because that kind of talent is, like you said, it's a rare type of genius. Yeah. And it's just the reality. Like, we can support the entire family basically forever if this works out right. You know, you've got to go for it.
Yeah. They still what's interesting about that is that's another thing that I think people forget, like, how big Michael Jackson was, because, you know, people our age and younger, probably what they heard of the most is all the controversy stuff. You know, he went crazy later in life. They heard, you know, he's touching kids. They heard all the crazy stories that he owned animals and dangled his kid over a balcony. Like, they heard all that shit. But I think a lot of people forget numerically he's still the biggest pop star in history. Like the numbers are staggering in the late 80s and early and mid 90s. Like I know Taylor Swift is big now, and I don't use her as like to be mean example, but like she's one of the biggest pop stars in the world right now, and people are like, wow, she's so huge. And by the numbers, she still doesn't come close. It's just like the Kobe, Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan debate where people are like, oh, Kobe is so. It's like Michael Jordan in the 90s. You look those numbers up, and it's unfucking real.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to this day, Thriller is still the number one selling album of all time.
Not even close. Yeah. Thriller sold 70 million copies. And the number 2 is Back in Black by AC/DC, and they sold 50 million. So not even fucking close. Not even close.
It's almost half. It's almost double. Well, I should say it's almost double what the next closest one is, I should say.
Although in terms of Bad is also very high. Bad sold 35 million.
Yeah, there was a come down from that as well, though.
Massive numbers. And I listened to Thriller recently, and it's just an amazing album. It is excellent from start to finish, and you compare that to fucking anything today. It's not just that the songs are better. It's a standard of excellence that just doesn't exist in popular music anymore, because now it's all about just getting into it's streaming, right? So it's all about, well, just get the songs to stream. There's no real sense of the album anymore, unless you're some fucking art house rock band that nobody's ever heard of. Yeah. So when you're listening to Thriller, it's just nothing even comes close to touching that today. I mean, obviously, popular music kind of been dead since 2012. I think that's the year rock died, according to Rick Beato. But I don't know. It's not a boomer thing, because even by my late 20s, I was listening to chart music and thinking, this is fucking terrible. There is nothing in here. And I would actively go out to try to find stuff to like and listen to. And I only found one fucking artist, like, since the past 10 years that I actually really liked. Baby Doobie, who's a Filipino-British girl. She's brilliant. But that's literally it. It was the only artist I could find whose music I actually liked. And the rest was it's just pointless. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand why people are nostalgic for music like Michael Jackson's music, because you compare it to what's going on today. And I don't know, what do you got in the charts? You've got probably Taylor Swift. You've got astroturfed garbage like Sabrina Carpenter, who was just manufactured in a lab, by some record company.
Well, I mean,
that was one of the
Echo used to grab Billboard titles, and we were like, I've never heard of that. This can't be real.
One of my all-time favorite moments in streaming history was when I figured out the one, simply because he used the the New Zealand term for parking lot. And I was like, he said car park. He was like, this is on the Billboard top charts of America. I was like, absolutely the fuck not. No one would watch or listen to that. But I was going to say about Michael. So one of the other big things that they made sure to emphasize is that he wanted, and this was documented in his career, that he wanted to appeal to everybody. He didn't want to be a niche, I'm appealing to a black audience. He wanted to appeal to everybody on the planet, and that's what he ended up doing. And what you're kind of saying, and I'm not a big music guy. Like, I don't know a lot about music, but one thing I have observed over the years since I've been, in high school and later, is I almost feel like that niching, I guess, I don't know if that's a real word, but that almost like that pocketing of music genres is happening again, where there was a lot of crosses over. There was, I mean, even like as recently, like there was rock bands that were trying, different rap things and trying to cross over all these genres. And that doesn't happen nearly as much or at all anymore. So it's.
Yeah, actually, interestingly, rap is massively declining. It's basically in its death spiral. So for the first time, I think at the end of last year, for the first time, there was no rap song or a song featuring rap in the top 40 Billboard. Yeah. So, and it's been in decline for a while. Although I think the genre generally is kind of overhated by music snobs. Like there's many genres that are worse than rap. Like reggae is worse than rap. Ska is worse than rap. Ska is an appalling musical genre.
Whoa.
Greg,
let's calm down. Let's calm down with these accusations. Okay.
All right, I could go on.
16-year-old Greg is very upset right now.
But I think even rap fans would agree that the genre probably peaked in the 90s, and it was just all downhill. And now it's embarrassing. We're gonna do some super chats before we move on to the next one. There's good reggae. I'm not saying there's not good reggae. Any genre you take, you're going to find good stuff. There's even a couple of good ska songs, but honestly, I'm talking about like what percentage of the genre is either bad or just plain terrible. And if you look at, say, regular ska, it's just horribly repetitive, boring as fuck, and most of it is just unlistenable fucking trash. And it gets very, very annoying very, very quickly. To my mind, right? You're allowed to disagree. You know, I'm not invoking despotic infallibility here, but yeah, I don't think that all musical genres are made equal. I think that some musical genres are just plain fucking bad. Waltzes, there's another one that was popular in the 19th century. Waltzes are fucking terrible. I hate them. They're boring. It's like they're designed to be boring. But they were very popular in the late 19th century. Just random example, but yeah, some musical genres just fucking suck. So let's go into the start comments. We'll do some super chats before we move on to the next topic. So Doge Pal says, Despot, did Jennifer Lee's 50-50 male-female affect Pixar? I thought the defaults was specific to Disney Animation Studios as Pete Doctor's in charge of Pixar. Yeah, Jennifer Lee, she was brought in, and one of her first policies was to announce that they were going to do, they wanted 50% of Pixar to be female, which really means we want to fire a bunch of guys and replace them with incompetent substitutes. And they literally found them on Tumblr. So they couldn't find professional animators when Jennifer Lee took over Pixar. They're just not out there, right? Women simply are not attracted to animation in the kind of numbers that would be required to fill a movie studio. Like, it's literally just a guy thing. So in order to find the artists, they had to go to fucking Tumblr and recruit them off Tumblr, and I think also Instagram. And it led to stuff like Strange World. One of the reasons everything's in the center of the frame in Strange World is because that's all they could do. The artists weren't good enough to draw complex, sweeping frames. And they've reversed course now. Jennifer Lee was fired a couple of years ago, and they've reversed course, and they brought in a guy to sort of gut a lot of the shit that they were doing and try to salvage it. And it's been a big disaster for Pixar. The last movie flopped, I think, Hoppers. Did anybody see Hoppers?
No.
I didn't even know that it came out. I kept hearing people talking about it. I didn't even realize it was a Pixar movie until it started showing up on stuff.
Yeah, that was a bomb. So we had Wizard on. Wizard was great, by the way. We'll have him on again. And he said he saw it. He thought it was shit, I think. And he said, so it was a bomb. It's like 150 million budget, 371 million box office. If that doesn't sound bad to you, bear in mind that Pixar's movies have big marketing budgets. And yeah, that's a flop. That's a pretty hard fucking flop.
No, it was terrible. I mean, you saw the trailer and you were just like, that's nothing about that trailer said, I want to go see even 5. I don't want to see this movie for free. I don't want to stream it when it comes to Disney Plus, which it is doing, I think, in a couple of days. Hang on, let me look this up. Sorry, you can keep with those. I want to find this.
Wangbot says Hong Kong Despot. All right, thanks for the $2. Dogepal, the crazy thing is that it's not the first time Disney did a 50-50 policy. That's 50% men, 50% women in a film studio. Darren Nefke bragged about doing this in her show Star versus the Forces of Evil. And as we all know, Star versus the Forces of Evil is a massive show, massive smash hit. We've all heard of it. We've all seen it. And it's our favorite show. All right. Wes Spencer, love the content, Despot. Thank you very much, Wes, and thank you for the £2. Dan Respiratory, really like that Despot and Greg keep all the slides in the way, keep grouping. What does that say?
Keep grouping up.
Don't stop.
Yeah.
Never stopping.
We have no plans to stop. Both very busy guys, but that's also why one of the reasons we do this, because it's a nice escape to just chill out and do a stream for a couple of hours to get away from all the responsibilities of work and family and all the rest of it. It's nice.
I even booked you guys together. It just seems like it's just such a natural partnership between you guys.
We got good chemistry. We got a good romance going on.
Yeah. They should make a movie about it one day.
I'm gonna be on top. I'm just, that's just how I roll.
Greg Owen on top. That's what the movie's gonna be called. It's just...
All right. So Despot, you got to get up. With Streamlabs, YouTube is actively preventing super chats with certain words, even when used innocuously. Unfortunately, the industry I have used Streamlabs a couple of times.
It sucks.
A couple of times, but the industry standard on YouTube, certainly among like this corner of YouTube, is StreamYard. So it would be a bit like trying to use Pro Tools in the music, or a bit like trying to use Cubase in the music industry. Nobody fucking uses Cubase. They all use Pro Tools. Like Cubase, I love Cubase. I think Cubase is great, but if you were a professional mixer, you would have to use Pro Tools because everyone uses fucking Pro Tools. So you know, if you're making stems, they want them sent so they can open them in Pro Tools, and it just makes everything easier. So unfortunately, I can't really get away from StreamYard. I don't give a fuck what platform I use, but maybe Streamlabs is better. But I don't know. And what's to say that they're not going to start censoring too with YouTube? Because YouTube's a bit of a mess at the minute. They're using AI to identify AI channels and eradicate them. Now, I'm very happy that YouTube are eradicating AI channels, because AI slop has become such a massive problem on YouTube, and there was a lot of public outcry about it, and YouTube are finally doing something about it. But they're using fucking AI to do it, and the result is that a lot of innocent channels are getting caught in the crossfire. Fuck.
I actually, if you guys were going to switch, I would suggest EVMux instead. I tried Streamlabs and I found it to be, other than the fact that you can super chat directly to it. That's the only advantage, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I also, generally speaking, I don't really like switching software unless I absolutely have to, because then I have to learn how to use the new fucking software, and I couldn't be bollocks, man. Sunray, my favorite Babic is Walk the Line. Walk the Line just hits every single cliche in the biopic genre. It gets every single one of them. It's amazing how well it does it. I will say the movie itself. Oh shit! No, I'm thinking of the Dewey Cox story. Walk the Line is that one.
Oh, yeah, Walk Hard is the Dewey Cox story. That's
no. Walk Hard actually makes fun of Walk the Line. I find Walk the Line to be a bit of a, when you go back and watch it, it's aged quite badly, and it's because it does so many of those tropes. And it's kind of just corny and laughable a lot of the time. I don't like Walk the Line personally, although it's certainly far from the worst. I wouldn't put it, like, I didn't have it in my worst biopics of the century video. It's not on that level of bad. Melvin Deeply, my favorite biopic is that Luke Skywalker one, Star Wars. Not sure if you've heard of it. Murdoch Hancock, there's nothing I hate more than when boomers point to their own success as a reason as to why you should be happy with your nothing.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is like when I was your age, I had nothing, and then I got all of this by just pulling myself up by my bootstraps. And it's like, yes, but you've taken the bootstraps and gone away with them. There's no more bootstraps for me to pull on.
Yeah, although a lot of alleged boomer success, it's not real success. It's more like I bought a house and it went up in value, but that's not real wealth when you think about it, because that kind of wealth is only useful if you're planning to downsize your house. Let's say you want to move from a $500,000 house to a $400,000 house. Well, okay, you got $100,000 left over. A lot of it is going into the move because moves are very expensive. And then a lot of it also has to be used to pay your lawyers and your real estate agents fees and all the rest of it. So actually having a house that's worth a lot of money, like, you need to live in that fucking house. It's not doing anything. It's not generating like real value, real money. If you are invested in companies that are generating real value and real money, like, and you're getting dividends, okay, that's real. That's actual real capital that you can access. But the idea that I'm successful because my house went up in value, it's this weird boomer idea that doesn't really make any sense in the real world. Unless, as I say, you're downsizing, which boomers don't want to do, because, you know, if they could, they would be buried with their houses.
Yeah.
If they ever died, which they don't plan to.
And it's the house went up and the investments all went up because in 1971, we left the gold standard, kids. Have a seat. It's fucking history time. Then we introduced a whole lot of new financial vehicles like the derivatives market. Now, this is where things get interesting.
Yeah. Also, boomer laws like the zoning laws and greenbelt laws, which have fucking decimated the opportunity for young people to buy a house because they can't build them in desirable areas where people might want to live. Anyway, we'll not go on and on about that.
You guys should have a whole housing market stream one day.
I know.
2 straight hours talking about, just pull up a random picture on Google Earth and just be like, look at this housing market over here. What happened in this area?
Yeah. Anyway, all versions of the Eagles' greatest hits best of has sold around 80 million copies combined. Fuck, I remember the Eagles. I quite liked them as a teenager. I haven't listened to them.
When I was looking up the the numbers. Everything was estimated. I remember that Thriller said between 50 and 100. So we did like what 75 we said or something like that. So it's but yeah, I remember Eagles was on there as well. I remember that was one of the ones on the top lists.
Yeah, and SVTFOE, Patient Zero of the woke Disney hard fandom. What is that? Acronym for something?
SVTO.
I have no idea, honestly. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic, which is Malcolm in the Middle of the gender spectrum.
Oh, Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Okay, I've never heard of it. So, who watched this absolute abomination?
I did.
I have not, but I think I've seen enough in the trailers to actually form an opinion. So
yeah, I swear to God, sometimes watching things is just such a fucking chore. It was so difficult for me to get through all 4 of these episodes. It was work, man. It was so hard. It's not just the woke shit there. It's so boring. It was so boring and pointless. I was never engaged for 1 fucking second of this. It was just absolutely awful, with no redeeming aspects. And it was also kind of hard to watch at times because the actors, especially Bryan Cranston, I mean, he's trying his ass off. He is really giving it everything he has to try to make this fucking awful material work, to try to make this used toilet paper script work, to breathe a bit of life into it. And watching him try that hard is actually kind of sad, because it just, all he's really doing is emphasizing how awful the script is, because it misses so badly. It's such, every scene is such an absolute stinker. Greg, what do you think?
Well, there were like maybe 3 or 4 scenes throughout the whole 4 episodes that I chuckled at. They were pretty funny. There was a couple funny parts, but overall, yeah, it was sad. It was depressing. It dragged on forever, and like it did the thing. It was embarrassed of itself. And that was one of the biggest sins, I think, that it committed. Is the show opens up with Cranston narrating, saying, "Hey, let's talk about our old show," and it's a bunch of just zany clips from Malcolm in the Middle, crazy shit. And then Cranston says, "For some reason, somebody wanted to see more of that." So they're already doing this, like this, just aren't we? We're in on the joke, we're embarrassed of the old thing, But then they proceeded to not do any of the things from Malcolm. Like, there were none of the over-the-top crazy stunts from Malcolm in the Middle. It was embarrassed of itself, and then went on to basically do the same postmodern shit of the thing that you like is actually trash, and Malcolm is a middle-aged depressed man now, and he's embarrassed of his parents because they're terrible, and his siblings are still fuck-ups, and everything just kind of sucks, and his teenage daughter doesn't really like him all that much, and he's got a sister who's a they, and it hates itself, and it hates you. And I don't understand this idea of rebooting something and then hating you with it. And the show hates its parents also. Like, this show is written by people who hate their fucking parents. It was a therapy session. It was that
fucking trope we were talking about recently, intergenerational trauma. It's like, I have trauma from my parents, and I don't want to pass it on to my kids, but I need to deal with this intergeneration. Oh, fuck off with that. It's so 2010s. It's so sort of cringe era 2010s. Enough of the fucking intergenerational trauma. Just make something fun, you miserable bastards.
There was so much therapy. There was an actual scene with therapy in the show. That's how much of a fucking therapy session this was.
Oh, for fuck's sake. This has been written by some aging millennial who's done therapy. And that scene specifically, it's Bryan Cranston. I'm going to use the actor's name because I don't know how many people would know the names of everybody in Malcolm in the Middle. By the way, I was a big Malcolm in the Middle fan as a teenager. It used to come on after The Simpsons. Yeah. And I watched it, and I thought it was great. And it was a fun show. The acting was all great. My favorite character was, it had to be Hal. Hal was brilliant. Bryan Cranston was so fucking funny, but everyone was really good. Everyone was great in that show. And they had these amazing set pieces. Probably my favorite episode is one where the boys build a slingshot, and they bring it up onto the roof, and they start firing just random shit all over the town. And it's really fun, good action. Like, it's a great set piece. And then the nerds want revenge, so the nerds build a better slingshot, which has more accuracy, and they destroy the boys' slingshot and start firing shit. And the boys try to surrender, and the nerds won't let them surrender. Really good, really funny, and just a great action set piece as well. And that's the other thing about this fucking reboot. Do you know what this is? This is 2 hours of people sitting in rooms talking about the past.
Yeah.
And trying to work through the trauma. Nothing happens. They don't do anything. There's no action here. Yeah. Like, the script, I cannot.
No plot.
Do they not have script doctors in fucking Hollywood anymore? Do they not have anyone to read the script and say, yeah, this is 2 hours long and doesn't have an action scene?
Yeah.
Like,
so
did nobody say that?
Everybody that didn't watch it, basically, the parents are having come up to their 40th anniversary, and Malcolm has moved away and has had a kid with a one-night stand with a goth crackhead who ran away immediately. So he's a single dad. He hates his parents because he says they bring out the worst of him. He hates his family because he doesn't like himself around them, which is just fucking stupid all by itself. But the whole show, the whole 4 episodes, is just them trying to plan this anniversary and everybody trying to come back together because they really don't like each other. That's it. It's 2 hours of planning an anniversary party and everybody getting together.
The central plot device is that Lois, Hal's wife, the old woman there in the poster, the mother of the family, she is planning the 40th anniversary for her and Hal. And that's all she does throughout all 2 hours of these 4 episodes. She just plans and she stresses and she plans and stresses and plans and stresses. She's just on this sort of this like character loop. She's like a broken record. Oh my God, I got to plan this 40th anniversary and you aren't helping me. It's just that for 2 hours, and it's so fucking repetitive and annoying. Now, the whole idea of planning an anniversary party that goes wrong, that might work okay for 1 episode. Like, it might do you for 20, 25 minutes, but 2 fucking hours, like, love. And when I say love, I'm talking to the fucking writer's room here. No one gives a fuck about some old lady's anniversary party. Like, this is not a compelling plot device.
Yeah.
Right. It misses the whole point of Malcolm in the Middle. Like, they come off as a sort of wealthy boomer couple having a big party. It's like, how fucking out of touch is that?
Yeah.
Like, the boomers aren't exactly popular nowadays. There's a ton of boomer hate content on the internet. It's really popular, actually. And you're making a show about 2 boomers having a big party, and that's your main plot device that everything revolves around. Are you out of your fucking mind? That's just all. It's boring. It's just boring as well. Like, Malcolm in the Middle back in the day, what is it about? It's about a family. It's about a lower middle class family that are always a hair's breadth from falling into poverty. They are trying and struggling desperately to remain at least culturally middle class, if not, socioeconomically. And they're really, really struggling with this. They're always in some sort of financial trouble. They're trying very hard to keep their head above the water. That's what the show is. That's a very essential part of the show's foundation of its setting and its ethos. And this show just ignores all that. It's like everybody just has whatever kind of money they need. Like, Lois is planning her party. She doesn't have as much money as she would like. So, her oldest son comes up to her and says, here's $1,000, Mom, just as a little gift. And she says, oh, thanks. I'm going to buy a hi-fi system or something. And it's just like, money's just never an issue here. Like, if they want to take a layover flight to go visit Malcolm, they'll take a layover flight. Doesn't matter that it costs $2,000, whatever. Like, it's never an issue. And it's like, the fact that no one here is struggling, there's no real money issues. Everyone's just sort of happy-go-lucky, and it's weird. It's completely detached. It's like they live in an economy that doesn't exist. I mean, I know it's a comedy show, but Malcolm in the Middle still happened back in the day. It still happened in the real world. It's still a family that is just struggling. They've got a lot of kids, a lot of mouths to feed, and they're struggling day to day in the real world, and it feels real, even though it's got that weird, bizarre kind of comedy TV sitcom hyper reality. There's still a realness to it. This thing is fake as fuck. It's woke, lame, gay, and fake and boring.
Well, it was like a Keeping Up with the Joneses kind of a thing that they had, and like the whole point of Malcolm in the Middle and what made it like it was a funny show because of the antics, but then at its core, I think the reason it hung around with people is because the family was pure chaos all the time, and they were fighting with each other all the time. But a lot of the show was other people looking down on them because they were kind of poor and they were just crazy. And everybody in the family being like, oh, hold up. We're going to stop fighting with each other for a minute because this is gang shit. And if anybody tries to say anything about our family at all, we're ready to go to fucking war. Like there was a level of loyalty there that was crazy. Like it was weirdly wholesome in its own way. And then this show ends up with them basically, they tried to go for the whole like, oh, it's family that's really important. But the end of this reboot kind of is like, we don't like each other, but we're still a family, despite the fact that we don't like each other. I guess family is important. Whereas the original show was, we have our differences, but we love each other like shit, like crazy. That was the point. That's what made it wholesome. This one just still has that like, I tolerate you feeling. It's you know, I know mom and dad, you made changes, but my therapist says I have to tolerate you, so I will. Like, God, it's so fucking therapeutic. This entire show, it's ridiculous.
Because that's a very adolescent kind of attitude. You know, when you're an adolescent, you kind of want to, sometimes you're putting on this artifice of being distant from your siblings or your family because you're just too cool to give them a hug, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, it's a very adolescent thing. It's also a very 90s thing, actually, now that I think about it. That whole goth emo thing, like whatever, poser, you know, that kind of thing. But it's weird just seeing it here. It's like, this doesn't feel like a family. It just feels like a bunch of people who seem to be obliged to be in each other's company. It's just a show that refuses to. Oh, it's awful. There's so much fucking wrong with this show.
Like it's just super, like the therapy thing was super shallow too. Like what jumped out to me was the therapy thing with Hal. It was like clearly somebody in the writing room remembered their intro to world religion and intro to psychology classes because, you know, basically Hal has his shadow self, which is something that they just heard about. And they're like, oh, we should put that in there. That'll make me sound cool. And then he sees a bodhisattva and like, you know, oh, that seems so cultural and neat. Like it was like a Family Guy referential thing, except not well done at all. It was the writers trying to pat themselves on the back. It was just boring.
It was very, very boring. The other thing it lacked, back in the day, Malcolm in the Middle, it did have, you would occasionally get plots that would run through different episodes. So, for example, the oldest sibling went to work on a farm, and he was trying to keep the farm afloat, despite the fact that this old German couple he was working for were incredibly incompetent. And that was kind of a running storyline, but it would still break down into episodic episodes where in each episode he's trying to deal with a new problem that this German couple has created on the farm, and he's trying to fix it for them to keep the farm going. It was quite a good story engine, and they would use it to create story engines in each episode. So you had that story arc, but it was also episodic. There's no episodic nature to this at all. Every episode is just like a quarter of this long, massively drawn out, massively boring story. Like there's no little subplots that resolve within the episode. For example, in episode 1, it is discovered that what the fuck is it? That guy's name, the one second to right next to Dewey.
Reeve, I think.
Yeah, Reese. So it's discovered that Reese has been making gag content at the expense of Hal, his father. And Hal didn't know about this, and Reese was pretending that they were doing DIY together, when really he just wanted to make his father look like an idiot so he could get online clicks. And it doesn't really resolve. It just sort of carries on into episode 2, and then it kind of carries on into episode 3, and it just sort of peters out. They just kind of forget it. Forget to pick it back up. And it's like that. They have no idea how to just have a subplot, have it run through the episode, resolve it, move on to the next episode. You know, just a little episodic thing to keep it fun and interesting. There's none of that here, which is one of the reasons why it is just so fucking boring. And we're not even, like, we haven't even scratched the woke stuff yet. Like, there's so much wrong with this dramatically.
We got to get into that.
Does it even fucking matter that they have a them teenage daughter? Like, it's already absolute garbage, and then you want to take a big woke shit on top of the garbage.
Yeah.
So you've got the teenage daughter who is a them, and she insists on be called them, and she has her speech where she talks about, when I was 4 years old, I knew I was wrong. And that's just such a disgusting thing to say. 4-year-olds are not wrong, okay? You're not in the wrong body. You're fine, okay? You're fine. You're as God intended. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just such a disgusting sentiment to say that you're wrong, to write that into a fucking show, a 5-year-old saying she's wrong and being affirmed by her father. Like her father turning around and saying, "Oh yeah, you're right. You are wrong." Oh, it's disgusting. And then Malcolm's friend from when he was a kid, it's this black kid in a wheelchair. He's already black. He's already in a wheelchair. You got tons of diversity there. And he's disabled. He's got a breathing condition. And what do? They made him gay, married him to a dude, and they have an adopted son together. And it's like, oh, Jesus. This fucking show. Like it had to be, and there's no point to it. Like the son that they have adopted together, plays no part in the story. It's not a character or anything. Just it's some kid that they've, kidnapped off a surrogate. It's just, it's horrendous. And
and what the weird thing is, like that's just like a sort of a background thing where he just has a husband because of course it's what they're gonna do. But like Malcolm's girlfriend is mad because he's lied that he says his family is dead. Like he didn't want to tell anybody his family. So she's mad about it. And then they do the whole, we got to be honest with each other. And she then blurts out, I got to admit that I was arrested for attempted murder. And it's this basic, it adds to the story in no way. Basically, the story is that she had a friend who was being abused by a police officer, but all his cop buddies stuck up for him and nobody believed her. Nobody believed the victim at all. And then the cop came after her and she had to shoot him in self-defense, but the cops still covered up for him because nobody believed her because she's a woman and they believed the cops over her. She's a black woman. And then later on, it was all sorted out. She had worked so hard to get it expunged from her record. Like this story has no bearing on the story of the plot, nothing. You could cut this out entirely. You would never even know that it was gone. They never reference it again. Nothing. It's just there to be that thing of believe all victims. And like, that was it. That was its only purpose to be there at all. No, it wasn't the they, them daughter. It was the other one. Malcolm's new daughter has like a texting, like kind of romance with a boy. But he's a creep and he asks to see her boobs over text message because he's a fucking jerk. He's a creeper because all boys are. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
There's no fucking way. There is no way. Like a teenage boy who's got a nice wee sort of relationship going with a girl at school and it might go somewhere. He's not just going to show me. First of all, teenage boys don't say boobs. Okay. 40-year-old men say that. Like if you're a young kid.
Can confirm. Yes.
They just say tits now. I'm pretty sure they just say tits. It's like it's a rare example where the British term actually ended up erasing the American term, and now because boobs kind of corny, so everyone just says tits. Yeah, a kid, a little boy is not going to text that because he knows she can screenshot that and put it on Instagram in a second. Like the behavior of young people today, a lot of it is dictated by the awareness that they are always being filmed and that everything is always online. So, for example, I don't go to clubs anymore. I haven't been to clubs in years. But I heard that if you go to a club now, basically it's a bunch of kids there and no one's dancing because everyone has their phones out and no one wants to look like an idiot in the dance floor. When I was in uni and me and the lads would go down to fucking Auntie Annie's or the Spring and Air Break, Lavery's, filthies. I'd get up and I'd get drunk and dance and look like an idiot. And I can't fucking dance, but that's not the point. The whole point is just to have a good time and let loose and have fun and be an idiot and be
when
young.
You've been drinking, you don't care if you can dance or not.
Exactly.
You just move it.
You just fucking want to have a good time and enjoy some music. But kids can't even do that anymore because they've all got 48 fucking iPhones pointed at them. It's sad. And that would have been quite an interesting aspect for this show to examine, but no, it doesn't. It just pretends that's not a thing. And another thing, they had the character Dewey. He's on the far left there. And they couldn't get him, the original actor, back for the show. And for some reason, they had a replacement actor on a computer screen the whole time. So in the show, he's a musician and he's playing in France. And he can't come to the reunion, so he's just being carried around, like the they them daughter is carrying around a laptop, and he's on the screen. But it's fucking horrible. This is such a bizarre, terrible show. It's like something straight out of 2019. It's 2026, lads. Like 2019 was a long fucking time ago now, and they're still doing it. They're still doing the way the lame gay woken thing. It's just.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Somebody keeps pointing out the way you say Dewey, by the way. It sounds Jewy. Someone
Dewey.
just pointing it out. I'm sorry I cut you off. I read it like 5 times. I couldn't stop myself.
No, you're right. It's an American thing. You say "do."
This
like
Dewey on the far
Tuesday.
left over here.
Yeah. All right. Well,
No.
I can't take. Do
Yeah.
you want to
Nobody-
any parting shots for this thing, Greg?
Nobody watched this. It's a complete waste of your time. It's like, it wasn't even like such a train wreck that you could laugh at it. Like it wasn't a Starfleet Academy or an Acolyte or something. It just is. It's kind of depressing. It's just a sad zombie of a show. It's bad.
The irony of everything you've said. So, like I said, I pretty much felt everything you just said from what I've read and the trailers. And I didn't even realize it was only a miniseries. I thought it was going to go on for a while. But the original Malcolm in the Middle is now more relevant today, I would say, because of, obviously it's not up to date with technology and stuff, but the trying to keep your head above water in an ever crumbling economy, like we just said, is almost it's even better for 2020. So they could have redid the exact same show. Just now, Malcolm. It could have been Malcolm in the middle age, and that's the middle-aged man or whatever. And it's just him doing all the same stuff his parents did, and it probably would have been fine.
And it's true as well. I mean, I know, like back home, I know a couple. It's a paramedic and a nurse, and you would think they'd be doing, and they've got one kid, and you'd think, oh, that sounds right. They should be doing okay, and they're struggling month to month. Like it's hard. You can be in the middle class, and it's like you're somebody getting fired away from just collapsing into, I hate calling it the working class because that's as if to suggest that people above them don't work. I'll just say lower class. Like you're a paycheck away from the lower class, like from the poverty line. Like it's just that's just normal now. Like the middle class has been eviscerated, and like Dark Hour's 100% correct. That would have hit so hard today if they'd done that right.
Yeah, because you could have had the parents could have been more of guiding light kind of characters. Oh, this is the kind of stuff we did for you guys. Maybe one of the brothers is very successful and kind of helps keep some people afloat, but it's not to the point where money's not a problem. He's still like, I gave you $10,000. When am I ever going to get that back? That's an actual problem people have. It's not. Oh man, my son, my son can't be here, so I'm going to walk around with a laptop. Like it just seems like they could have easily they overthought themselves and could have easily redid the exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, they can't. They just don't. You had pulled up writers there talking about how Hollywood's going to be the next Detroit, and then writers also said in comments as well that just they can't do slice of life shows anymore. And I think it's because these writers don't have a life. They have not. The only thing they know how to write about is the generational trauma shit. And I hate my siblings and I hate my parents and I wish they'd have done different. And like you look back at older sitcoms from 20, 30 years ago, the plot of any given sitcom was just dad has a new hobby and he's way too into it. And it's just crazy. His antics happen because of dad's new hobby, or mom has a neighbor and the neighbor has better, I don't fucking know, flowers or some shit, and they get into some weird ass competition over these flowers and it's just a bunch of drama, but it's played for laughs. Or just something at work innocuous happened, but a character, George Costanza, makes it way more of a thing than it needs to be. Like things like that are the everyday lifestyle stuff. They're exaggerated for comedy beats, but these writers they don't know anything about that. They've never had real jobs. They've clearly never met normal fucking people outside of their therapy waiting room. So this is all they know how to write about. This is it.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to take like a personal example, like off the top of my head, it would be something like the dad, he's going to the boxing gym and he's doing okay. He's progressing. And then he gets a nemesis in the gym during a sparring session. Like the spar goes a little bit too hard, and then they become nemesis, and he's going to spar him again in a week. So he's training to try to win the spar, and he ends up getting knocked on his ass or something. Just something like that, something funny, right? Or, like he misses his son's school play because he's busy at the gym, working his ass off for this spar, and no one gives a fuck about the spar, right? It's not a big deal to anybody, but in his mind, it's like this huge deal. Like, something like that, like just from my own life, like
you do Rocky montages and shit. Like you would 100%. You'd play all that up.
You're just parodying Rocky at the end of the day. It's a bit of fun, right?
Yeah.
No show will ever get slice of life better than Married with Children. I've always said that. Everything that's come out since is just attempting to be as funny as that show. And
yeah, these people, they spend all day on, and you can also tell a lot of the characters spend a lot of time on their tablets, and it's like, put the fucking phone away, man. We're all sick of them. Anyway, I'm gonna go make coffee. So while I'm away, we will be you two will be discussing Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. That's actually a really good topic for Dark R as well.
Ooh,
you know, Dark R is into martial arts, and you like those kind of movies.
I'm
So,
pumped.
and this was a Greg topic. By the way, these two movies look fucking awesome. And before I go, this needs to be said. I would fucking hammer Chun-Li. Jesus Christ, man. They have gotten Chun-Li's casting so right.
I'm not shocked by that that you would.
Just smoking hot in this.
Going based on what I know about Despot, I'm not shocked by this.
I'm more in the Cammy camp, but hey, it's nice, and we're all five people here at the end of the day. That's all right. It's all good. We're all ass men. It's all good.
All right. I'm gonna go grab a coffee. You two work away.
All right. How do you want to approach this topic, Greg? I'm not really sure.
Are you excited about these?
So I am getting more excited about Mortal Kombat 2. I hated the reboot with Cole Young. I was like, they wasted so many cool things like Goro in that one, and I was like, why are we inventing new But it seems like they're course correcting and not doing a reboot. They're just like almost ignoring the first movie. And I like that, because if there's a story, if there's a genre you could do that with, it's fighting games. Because that's what they did anyway. Half the time they would just be like, what happened in the last one didn't really matter. Or some people fought and now they're fighting again. So I'm getting excited for that. And the castings for Street Fighter are a little weird to me. Some of them. There's a lot of pro wrestlers in there. And that can go one of two ways. It's either going to be the greatest casting of all time, like, a lot of people said that about Batista with Drax. Like, oh, how's this going to work? And he ended up being kind of the breakout star of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. And actually, all five of them were really the breakout stars of that movie. But here, I think they have a minimum 2 pro wrestlers. And I'm always weary when you dip into that pool, because they are kind of actors, but in a very different kind of environment. So that's kind of, if I had to pick one I'm more excited for, it's probably Street Fighter, only because it's the first movie of this series as opposed to a sequel. And it's very close though. It's splitting hairs there.
So I'm with you. I'm really excited for Street Fighter. I am a little nervous about Noah Centino as Ken. I think they're gonna. I'm worried they're gonna lean a little too much into him being a doofy, washed up idiot, whatever. Like, I don't want him to be such a comic relief that he's just a moron the entire time. But also, it seems that Guile is going to be that. So I guess that's the only thing about that. Literally, the only thing about the movie that makes me nervous from the trailers is that Ken and Guile both look, they're just going to be absolute morons. And that's gonna be funny for a minute, but by the end of the movie, I think it's gonna be a little boring. I'm interested to see if Street Fighter is gonna go with a PG-13 rating though, because Mortal Kombat is gonna be rated R, and it makes sense because if you look back, you remember Mortal Kombat came out, I believe, after Street Fighter, and it was, when we were kids, it was the edgy fighter game, right? That was the whole. It was kind of its claim to fame was the fatalities and there's like animated blood. Oh my god! Like, you look back on it now, you're like,
there's people ripping spines out of people. And yes, it did come out second. A lot of people forget that there was a Street Fighter 1. They just assume Street Fighter 2 was the first game in the series.
Well, it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto 3. Like, that's really the first one, really.
Yeah. So Street Fighter 1 was just an arcade. It was not good. I played it. It's not a good game. But they came out. I don't remember the years. I want to say that it was like 92 was Mortal Kombat. That sounds about 92, 93, that range.
No, I don't know.
Then, let me take a look. I don't remember the exact years.
But I do know Mortal Kombat's gonna be rated R. I did look that up the other day because we were watching the trailers, and I'm super pumped about it. But I'm interested to see how. My gut says that the folks with Street Fighter are waiting to see what the box office looks like for Mortal Kombat, because R-rated obviously is going to cut it down. It's going to be difficult. I think it's going to do well, But I think the studio for Street Fighter is looking at that, thinking, because I think they're on the cusp. I think there's enough violence and probably swearing and Cammy's butt cheeks out that it could be rated R. But I bet you if they edit it right, Street Fighter could be a close PG-13 and make a lot more money. But if Mortal Kombat makes a bunch of money as an R movie, I think they'll just leave it and it'll be rated R and go that way.
It makes me sad because they 100% tease the most famous scene from the Street Fighter 2 animated movie, the Chun-Li shower scene that just eventually goes to a fight with Vega in her apartment. And they really tease that. And if they go PG-13, we're not going to get that scene, and I'm very upset about it. But the one thing that I'm really excited about with these two movies is that they're campy. And I know we talked about this last time with Despot and Wizard and them, and Wizard brought up One Piece, which is another great example. But both of these look like they have camp down really, really well. And I hate to keep harping on Malcolm in the Middle, but I think something that the audience, maybe I'm just projecting this one because I'm tired of irony in fucking everything and meta awareness and all that. I'm bored of it now. It's been 20 years of this shit. And campiness, you can't be campy and meta ironic at the same time. It just doesn't work. It comes off as really stupid and cringy. And so both of these movies look as though they are just leaning into the goofiness of it, and they're not. From the previews, at least, they're not going to continue to look at the camera and be like, no, it's fucking weird though, right? But it's a video game movie, so it's okay. Like, they're just going to be weird and be okay with it. And I think that's another reason why Malcolm pissed me off, because after seeing Project Hail Mary, after being excited for these, I know people are excited about Night of the Seven Kingdoms for this very reason. Like, they're all very sincere. Campiness is sincere. It's a form of sincerity. And Malcolm was constantly doing the throwback and oh, we don't like the old thing, we're shitting on the old thing, and we're meta aware of what we're doing, and I'm bored of that shit. And these look exciting because they just look like they're going to be fun. They're going to invite you to have fun, and I can't wait to have fun with them. I'll be okay with, only because of the hyper presence of Johnny Cage. I'm okay with maybe one fourth wall break. Like, I'll let it slide once, but if he's doing it the whole movie, it would be really annoying, because Johnny Cage does have especially with the choice of actor, you're giving a lot of charisma here, so he might be able to pull it off once, maybe twice. But if either one is going to do the self-aware thing, I would assume Street Fighter would do that, because Street Fighter is definitely, of the two, the more cartoony.
Although it's the less appropriate, ironically, of the two, it's the one where it would work the worst, because Street Fighter is so hyper real.
Yeah, inside of their own world, it's very real.
It's kind of like a live action anime, and everyone looks absolutely ridiculous. And a big part of the character design of Street Fighter, as compared to Mortal Kombat, is that Street Fighter uses exaggerated body parts. The proportions don't actually make any sense. So if you look at, for example, Ken, like, he has these enormous muscular arms compared to his torso, which, I mean, this is a guy that doesn't even skip leg day. He skips every day except arm day. And then, like,
he's transformed every day into arm day.
Balrog has enormously long arms, the boxer. They've these slightly unrealistic proportions. It's part of the character design, and it looks great. Like Chun-Li's thighs, famously. She has these enormous thighs.
That's weird that you would bring Chun-Li up again. That's very strange.
Yeah, I wonder why. Why was I thinking about Chun-Li's thighs?
I don't know. It's
that they all have exaggerated body proportions. It works really
giant
well.
Ass, that'll do it too.
Yeah. Whereas in Mortal Kombat, it's a bit more focused on their armor and their special abilities, and they Luke Kang's just like a normal guy, right?
Even the most the strange characters in Mortal Kombat are truly strange. Forearms, blades coming out of the arms, minotaurs, like they're fantasy characters that have been put in. But no matter who, almost everybody, because the original was based on mocap, and it was like not even just mocap, it was like actual, like a person. I don't remember what that style was called, but it was so the proportions couldn't be strange, and they just kind of kept them like no one ever really got weird looking, like you're saying. By the time Street Fighter 4 rolled around, it was they didn't even look like humans anymore. They looked
Mortal Kombat 4?
Sorry, Street Fighter 4. Sorry, Street Fighter 4 came out. That was when they started really looking insanely weird. With that was the one where, and then it just got worse and worse.
Yeah. I don't think that my prediction is that they're not going to do fourth wall breaks. My prediction is that Johnny Cage and Guile in Street Fighter are going to be the audience surrogate, is what they're going to go with. And it's especially because Mortal Kombat looks like that's what they're doing. Is him just being, he's going to say out loud, what the fuck's going on around here? What? This is all so crazy. And I don't think that he's going to look directly at the camera, but I think some of his dialogue is going to be that. It's going to be the acknowledgement. It's going to be the audience attitude. And then, like I said, Guile is going to be doing the same thing. In the trailers, he's the one like, fucking Ryu just had fireballs come out of his head. What the hell is going on here? You know, I think that's what they're going to go with. And I'm good with that. Like you said, as long as they don't, there's a way to overdo that. I'm hoping that they find the right balance, but I'm pumped for these two. I can't wait.
In the original, the 95 Mortal Kombat, which I still think to this day is probably, well, I don't know, because I really like the Sonic movies too, but it was one of the top live action video game movies of all time. One of my favorite moments is when Johnny Cage does the split punch on Goro. He climbs up the mountain. He goes, "Damn, that hurt!" Like if they do stuff like that, I would love that. You know, just it's not really fourth wall breaking because he's not looking at you when he does it, but it's definitely like it. His internalized thoughts are coming out for the audience. So yeah, I do like that.
I think that they made the right call by having David Dastmalchian as M. Bison. I think I don't know if he's going to try to go full like Raul Julia, but
it's a perfect Bison.
It's going to be great.
Love that casting choice. Because you could have gotten that so wrong, and you could have gone Chad, and Bison's not really Chad. Like he's more of a pure villain. Yeah. And they got that right. I love that.
Well, it feels like a throwback to Raul Julia doing it. It feels like that is another one of those clues that to me feels like they're going to go with the 90s camp, and they're not going to be embarrassed about it. So I'm excited.
Hold on.
A lot of people forget.
I can't decide if Despot is less of a white advocate because of his desire to miscegenate, or more of one because Chun Li is Asian. Lad, let me tell you something. Like, if you were in my position where you're almost 30 years old, and you meet like a 21-year-old beautiful, Korean student, you'd be insane not to go for that, right? Like what's wrong with you? Are you going to go for a girl who's like 1 or 2 years older than you just because, or the same age just because she's the same race? Do you know what I mean? Go for the girl who's like the hottest and who will make the best wife. Just keep it simple. That's it. All right. Now, before I forget, we're gonna do game footage here. Because we're gonna do. I forgot to do this in one of the previous streams, the game segment. So we're gonna do a little segment called "What We're Playing," and just give our thoughts on recent games. So this game is called Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It's an old SNES game, and it is brutally difficult. So this is my playthrough footage, and it's just. You can see how difficult this is. His jump is actually kind of difficult to control. It's hard to predict where he's going to land, and it's actually a double jump game. So the jump is a huge part of it. It's a platform is a big part of it. It's hard to get right, and the jump is also kind of dated because you can't change direction in jump. Like even at the time, the game was criticized for having a dated jump mechanic. It's I think this game was released in 1991 though, and it was kind of going for a Mario style jump, but it's fine. The game itself has tons of personality, as you can see, like really lovely, fun animation, very colorful. But the big thing about this game was this was an arcade game, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and the original was, it was built for an arcade machine. It was a quarter stealer.
Yeah,
it's a 2 hits and you're dead game. So he's running around in his armor here because I already had 1 hit. When you start, he has like full knight's armor on. And then he's down to his undies. And if you get 1 more hit in the undies, you're dead. So it's a 2 hit and you're dead game. And you can see how brutal it is. Everything kills you. And it's very, very difficult to progress. So I played this game. I got about a third of the way through it. And I just gave up. I couldn't fucking do it anymore. because all that happened was this: I would die like 20 times in one section of the game, and then I would finally get to the next section when I figured out what to do and how exactly I'd memorized all the traps and I'd memorized exactly how much jump to put in to land on the right pillar or whatever it was. And then my reward for that was to get 5 seconds into the next section and then die 20 times before the whole process started again. And it just became brutally difficult and annoying. And what I really enjoyed about this game, even though I gave up on it, was it's a very old style of game design. Like, I don't think they design games to be this fucking brutal anymore. Like, people complained about, Greg, did you play, what was that indie game? It was very, very popular. It's like $20, but it was criticized for being very difficult. Forget what it was called.
That sums it up.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
No.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hollow Knight.
Also, Super Meat Boy was another one of those ones. Like,
they're complaining. Oh, like, I haven't played it, so maybe it is as difficult as this. Is it, Greg, or does this look more brutal?
No, this is much more difficult because the controls are so
The
clunky.
controls are tough, yeah.
Like Silksong and Hollow Knight at least are smooth controls. So
if you, like, this is what a lot of modern gamers would benefit from. Go back and play those old arcade style games for the SNES or the Genesis. They are fucking brutal. Like, they're incredibly difficult to play.
Lion King. Does anyone remember how hard Lion King game was?
Oh, yeah.
I had nightmares about that game.
It was just poorly made. That's the problem.
They complain about game difficulty today, and it's like, no, you need to go back and like play the Super Star Wars trilogy for the SNES, or play this game, or even Aladdin for the SNES. Like, incredibly difficult games. Like, I am amazed that I passed these games as a kid. It's like, how the fuck did I pass those games?
Well, you just spent hours, like you said, you spent hours and hours, and you memorized the patterns, and then you just that was it. That's what you did.
And by the way, what you're looking at here,
the accessibility was also less. The games came out less frequent. You only had how many people had a system and only had like 6 games, and that's all they played was those 6 games. Now I have a Steam account that has like 500 games that I've never even played because I got them in a bundle with a game I actually wanted to play. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is the point where I gave up. I came across a boss, and the boss is invisible, so you can't see him when he's attacking you. And I just couldn't fucking take it anymore. I couldn't take it, so I gave up. But a pretty fun game, I had a good time with it. Gave up. It also does give you some perspective. And if you're wondering why games were this insanely difficult back then, by the way, this is easy mode, in case you're wondering. There are 4 levels of difficulty, and this is the easiest. If you're wondering why
you start at the beginning of the level, not the beginning of the game when you lose in this one.
If the reason games were so difficult back then is also because games didn't have a lot of memory, so they couldn't make them that big. So to get your money's worth out of the game, to actually get, to put in 60 hours, say, they had to make it really, really difficult. So you'd play it again and again and again and again to try to beat it. And that was the idea back then. It was that was the thinking behind that style of game design. It's not really a thing anymore, but it is a really interesting part of video game history. And I tell you what, though, there are some incredible runs of this game on YouTube, like some speed runs where it's just the hardest difficulty, and it's a no damage speed run, just incredible. Anyway, so that's my wee segment. I also want to talk a little bit about Quake 2. So I was playing Quake 2, which I think is the best first person shooter of the 90s, and it's just awesome because I was tired of this. Is a really difficult game, but it's difficult in a more mature way. It's not just trying to kill you every 5 seconds. It's full of little traps that you have to remember. If you choose the wrong tactic when approaching enemies, you're just going to get annihilated. So you have to be kind of sneaky and use corners and use cover. You can even jump into a room, activate all the enemies, and then the different enemy variants will all start trying to kill each other. So if you know the room well, you can hide while they do that, and then you just clean up the leftovers. So there's a lot of ways to approach this. It's a very tactical game, and the programming, it's just perfect. Like the weapons are fun as hell. The enemies are really fun to kill. The animations are great. The music is incredible. The music fucking crushes. Level design is great. It's kind of maze-like. It's got lots of secrets. It's just an absolute blast. If you just want to have a fun time, run around some well-designed maze levels and blow, your enemies to bits with fun, super shotguns, just play Quake 2. Quake 2 is an absolute blast. I think it's Yeah, the best first-person shooter of the 90s. In fact, the only first-person shooter, it's not quite of that era. It's almost next generation. Perfect Dark is better than this, but yeah, I think I would consider that next gen after this. But man, Quake 2, what an absolute fucking blast. You can get this on Steam really cheap, and it comes with all the variants. You get Quake 2, you get Quake 2 for the N64, and you get a couple of other variants of the game. The best one is Quake 2, just the original. The 64 version is also very good, and the others are kind of shit. But man, what a great time. Quake 2, strong recommend.
What was cool by Quake 2 is that they really upped it from Quake 1. I mean, there was a whole story with the alien race that you had to go against, and they moved to a sci-fi thing instead of the medieval bit of Quake. And I mean, it was a massive level up from Quake 1, and it was, God, such a good fucking game.
It's amazing, and like it's a really great podcast game, or YouTube video game, whatever you listen to when you're gaming, because you don't have to pay a ton of attention. There's no, you're not running into NPCs who are giving you their life story every 5 minutes. You don't need to remember a million different secrets. You're just running around this maze, just blasting enemies, and it's a great time.
Yeah.
So
you didn't like Quake 4, Despot?
I haven't played any other Quake games, just Quake 2.
Oh, Quake 4 is pretty solid. It's a little bit more story driven than Quake 2, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. Quake 4 felt like, because Quake 3 was just pure, like Quake 3 had no story. So it was just
an arena game.
Yeah, that was it. It was an arena shooter, which was so much fun. But I think after that, it feels like an overcorrection where then they were like, okay, we need to, oh yeah, there's the NPCs fighting each other. Yeah, we need to make a super story game, and we got to get back with the Quark or whatever the hell the aliens were called. And there's going to be a whole, it was a whole thing with your teammates dying, and they were trying to get emotion in there, and it wasn't bad, but it was trying a little bit too hard.
I don't have any footage of anything. I don't really record games when I'm playing them, but I play.
Yeah, I don't record them either. I just recorded the footage for this segment of the video.
I kind of have a story recently, so like I often go to like Humble Bundle and stuff. Like I said before, I end up with a lot of games I've never played because they're just part of a bundle I bought. And I saw one, I was like, oh, that seems kind of interesting. It's Empires of the Undergrowth. And I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, let me go check out the trailers. And I'm watching the trailer. And actually, I mean, if you want to bring up the trailer for Empires of the Undergrowth, or like the gameplay, you'll notice somebody's voice that we know pretty quickly if you pull it up. Somebody in the chat probably knows who the hell I'm talking about, but I'll explain the game a little bit. So basically, it's an RTS game where you play as ants. You play as like ant colonies, and you're obviously there's quests, and there's like increasingly harder villains that you are boss monsters you have to fight, whether or not they be amphibians or emperor scorpions, stuff like that. And it was one of the coolest takes on an RTS that I've ever played, and I've been really into that one lately. So yeah, if anybody hasn't played that, also I'm a lot of people know that I'm a pretty big fan of the survival horror genre, and recently they released the three original three original Resident Evil games on Steam, and that's been fun to play again. I can.
Oh, nice.
Let's see if you.
Sorry. Minimize that. Sorry, I was just getting that queued up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but yeah, and so, and if anybody is into survival horror games, I actually have one that I think is pretty fun that a lot of people don't really know about, called Tormented Souls. It's a little, it's a little unpolished, but it's still pretty solid. It's basically like, what if now we had Resident Evil in a hospital, but what if Resident Evil was in like an insane asylum hospital? That was basically the premise. And this girl who's trying to find, I'm trying to remember. It was like she was trying to find. She got a letter from someone claiming to be her sister. She's like, I have to go find her, and it's pretty interesting. I don't have any footage of them, unfortunately, but
that one sounds creepy as hell. I don't like insane sounds.
And the person, by the way, it's the announcer, like the voiceover guy for Empires of the Undergrowth, is Mauler. I was like, yeah. I'm like listening to the thing, and I'm like, no fucking way. I'm like, no. And I message him. I'm like, dude, is this you? And he's like, how'd you find that? I'm like, well, it's not like it's hidden. It's a public game, you know. Like,
hold on. I need to hear this now. Empires of the Undergrowth 1.0 launch trailer. Is that the one you're talking about?
it might be that I don't know if it's in a trailer or if it was just gameplay footage that I watched. I mean, I'm sure it'll be in there.
Huh.
But you can show the game. I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm sure people would want to see the.
I'll show it. I'll show it up if I can add it to the stage. Give me a second.
I just want to acknowledge that before the chat was doing a really good job of listing every great show from the 90s. It was fantastic. They were like, yeah, it's a pretty solid game.
I'll mute it. But that is, I mean, if anyone has been listening but not, wondering what Empires of the Undergrowth actually looks like, so this is the trailer for it. It's an FPS game where you play as ants and you have to eradicate your neighbors. It's a 4X game.
Kind of. It's definitely well, yeah, it definitely has resource management. It's a little bit more objective based than some other RTSs you would have. Like there's an actual, like, the campaign is very objective based, but then they have more of a sandbox version as well after you've done that. But it's pretty cool.
No, that was a good shout, because I do like, for this segment, I like more obscure games, indie games, old games, rather than just talking about, like the latest Resident Evil or the latest, AAA slap.
Yeah. Well, that's why I mentioned that they released the original Resident Evils as well, which I'm gonna have to do some playthroughs of those, because I can actually what is it? Resident Evil 2, I can basically beat the entire all four scenarios in under 8 hours altogether. It's like I just know everything. Each one I can do in about 2 hours. So
yeah, the Trump shooter from yesterday has a Steam game. Do you know what's amazing about current timeline? Like, in current timeline, somebody can try to kill the president, and it's such a normal thing now that you don't even bother. Like we didn't even chat about it before we came on. Like, it's just, oh yeah, somebody tried to kill the president. It's just Tuesday, I guess.
I didn't even know it happened. Like, that's how normal that is to the world now. I'm just like, somebody told me today, they were like, did you hear about the assassination attempt? And I was like, which one? They were like, Trump. I was like,
oh. They went. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that happened? I'm surprised it took this long for someone to try that.
Yeah. Apparently the guy who tried to shoot him has a Steam game. I wonder if it's any good. If it's good, we might feature it on this segment. So, Greg,
I try to avoid political stuff as much as I can. It just drags you down. Every minute of it just drags you.
I know. No, you're right, Dark R. I'm trying to disengage from all the politics and all that wank and just focus more on, culture, history. Like at the minute, I'm spent a lot of my time learning about the history of Oasis. It's the British band.
I recently got like an idiot, I still occasionally use Reddit. And I got banned from the Spawn subreddit because someone posted a picture of him beheading Trump, and I was like, can I just go anywhere without seeing this face? Like, I don't. You can't. And I got banned for saying that.
Yeah. Anyway, Greg, what about your game?
I've been playing. Well, I was before my work project started, but I was playing No Rest for the Wicked, which is from Moon Studios, which is the folks that made Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the whatever the sequel was called, which were really fantastic. If you've never played those games, they're 2D side scrollers, but they're like a Metroidvania style. So you play as a little blue forest spirit thing, and the forest is dying, and it's a pretty classic Metroidvania style, and it's really smooth gameplay. Both games are fantastic. The first game was lots of fun. The second game, they really upped it. Well, then the studio decided, what we should do is make an isometric Souls-like game. That's what we're going to go for. Totally off the wall. And this one's in early access on Steam, and it's been there for like 2 years. And this one is, I'm going to sound like I'm shitting on this a lot, but yeah, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, as somebody said. I'm going to sound like I'm shitting on this a lot, but it is in early access, so it's something to keep in mind. But it's a weird game because I've played a lot of it, and I've enjoyed the hell out of it. I've enjoyed the hell out of parts of it, and there are parts that I absolutely hate, and I feel like it says something about the gameplay that I just keep going back, even though there are parts I don't like. So the gameplay itself, it's a little chaotic, but it's like a Souls, like it's a isometric, so like a Diablo style, but a Souls-like. So you can see you get the big boss health bar there at the bottom. You can see the little green circle next to my guy who is, that's your stamina. So you got stamina management. I'm having to roll around. It's a similar type thing where you can level up and you've got strength, dexterity, wisdom, intelligence, endurance, things like that. So if you've played any Souls games, the style of leveling up, it's going to feel familiar, and the how the power scaling works and stuff is going to feel familiar. So the gameplay is what I love about this game. This is one of the big boss fights from this like Crucible, infinite dungeon type thing you can do. This is a blast. Actually playing the game is so much fun. And hang on, it
looks really good. Like
the graphics are really. What kind of are you maxing out your specs for this?
I think so. Yes, I think this is on whatever max something. I think I have a 4090 super, 4070 super, something to that effect.
Look at you.
That's really nice, really detailed.
Awesome.
Something, but it's so this, I mean, it looks really good. The frame rate and everything is really great. But this right here, this is the thing that I don't like. So in order to upgrade your weapons and upgrade because you're in this town, you have to upgrade the town, and you will have to go and find resources. And what you'll do is you'll find these little mining nodes, and you'll have to play this little fucking mini game where you'll have to hit the mine button and then hit it again when this little circle. Oh, I had too good of a. You'll have to hit it again when the little circle is in the red part, right in this area. Boom, right there to get a good, and you get extra resources. If you don't do it right, you only get one resource. If you do it good, you get two resources. And like right now, there's little quality of life things. Like two of those things will pop out, and I want to just hold one button down, and everything within a certain radius I should just grab it. I shouldn't have to walk and keep hitting the button, because sometimes up to three things will pop out, right? I shouldn't have to do that. It just feels like bloat, feels like a big waste of my time, and I don't like it. There is, am I going to chop this tree down here? Maybe, I don't know. You can chop the trees down, you can dig the little things, and you can mine, and you have to do these things in order to upgrade the town, in order to upgrade your armor and everything, because the game continues to scale in difficulty with you. You can see in the top right corner here, the danger level. This is recording from a while ago. But later on, if I go back, that danger level is going to go up. So I have to keep upgrading my equipment and stuff. You can't just not do that. And so you have to spend time doing this resource management, resource gathering type thing. And it's very, very frustrating. There's also a limited inventory, which would be cool if there weren't so many things to gather. And again, it just feels like this big waste of time that I have to go back to town. I have to empty my inventory. I have to put it in a chest somewhere or whatever. But when you're doing this right here, when you're unleashing that little special move type thing, because you're above my health bar in the top left, you get this little yellow bar here that's it builds up, and you can use it to cast spells or use special moves or whatever. So as I'm positioning myself, as I'm using those special moves, which do a lot of damage, whatever, this is all so much fun. And this is what keeps me coming back. But then I feel like there are parts of it that really waste my time. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to edit this, so I just have like timestamps that I know are in here. But let me speed this up, because this part this just gets downright draggy. So what you'll end up doing to like upgrade your equipment, you'll need resources, obviously, right? That's not a big deal. But what you'll need to do with those, the ore that you find, or the here we go. So what you'll need to do with the ore, or the trees that you chop down, is you'll have to go to this sawmill, and you will have to put, I just gestured at my screen like anybody can fucking see it. You'll have to put these logs in here, and you can see right there, God damn it, each one of them takes a minute and a half to turn into a pile of planks, but I can increase the speed of it with some of the sap that pops out of the trees sometimes. So just right there, I had 6 minutes worth of, I got to wait around for 6 minutes, real time minutes. I got to wait around for these things to turn into planks so that I can make a bow, or I can upgrade this smithy or whatever. And it's shit like that I just feel like, why are you wasting my time? Why are you making me go out and gather all these resources and then making me go to a smelter like it's Minecraft? I don't want any of that. None of that is enjoyable. It takes way too long. It's a huge downside. And the guy, Mark Mahler, I think is his name. He's on Twitter. He takes a lot of feedback and he is working on it, and they are working to fix some of this stuff. But what you're seeing right here is my least favorite part of it. If you enjoy town building, if you enjoy, like that's an upgraded smithy and this lady that sells you enchantments, like this stuff is upgraded. But you saw I had to sell some things because that blue thing on the ground, that I can't pick it up because I'm out of inventory space. And it's dumb shit like that, where just like you have a lot of items in this game, you don't have enough inventory space to handle them all. That it's not a challenge. It's not a thing that's there to like make you think about what's important. I just have to pick some of them up and go drop them in a chest somewhere and then come back and pick it's little things like that. It's very gamey. It's very gamified, and it just feels unnecessary. But when you're out and about and you're whatever. When you're out and about and you're fighting,
Frank actually likes this game or not.
That's super. Yeah, that's the problem. It's like I love half of it and I hate half of it. I hate the parts that waste my time, but I love the parts where I'm out there actually fighting. And if the time wasting stuff was optional, I'd be fine with that. Like if it was just you could do it, you don't want to, whatever. Yeah, but you're kind of required. It's a requirement for sure.
I know what would happen if I tried to play this. So I'd have a blast with the battles, but at some point I would get into a rut whereby I have to do a lot of resource farming, and then I would just stop playing the game and not come back to it. I reckon that's how it would go if I were to try to play this.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like I said, it looks fantastic. I'm not big into Souls-like games. I don't have the time of day to get so good at something that I can, do it 100% perfectly. And, I know that a lot of those games require like hundreds of hours to get really good at, and it's just like I don't know. I admire people who like those kind of games.
Yeah, I couldn't vouch this kind of stuff, but yeah. And Viren says inventory management is never fun. I will die on that hill.
100% agree.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really want to manage my inventory. I just want to have it so that I can run around and blast enemies. Like with Quake 2. I'm really not that interested in, upgrading my weapons or farming resources to acquire them. Just give me the super shotgun so I can go blow off a Strog's head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like ammo management makes sense in a game like that. You can't just be running around firing every rocket off. So that is a strategy type element. That's a thing that makes sense. But just you only have so many slots and you have to move things around. Oh, and they weigh and you have to manage your weight. Like things like that. Just it's not strategy. It's just it feels like padding. It's like the Ghosts and Goblins that you were talking about. It feels like a padding element, but we don't need that. There's no reason for that right now.
Yeah, it's not a difficulty curve. It's just it's a frustration curve, basically.
Yeah, it's just a time suck, and it's especially when you don't have a lot of gaming time. It's also why I do more so retro gaming, because I find that retro games tend not to waste your time. It's just here's the game, off you go. They're not fucking you around. Whereas a lot of modern games, it's like oh Jesus! Try to play Tears of the Kingdom. Fuck,
I can't play.
The amount of time wasted, the amount of fucking time you have to spend with Ultra Hand or trying to build different variations of objects to accomplish very simple tasks. I just couldn't fucking take it. And I quite liked Breath of the Wild, but Tears of the Kingdom I couldn't handle. That game's you could call it a Marmite game. Like some people loved it, a lot of people fucking hated it. I was one of them.
I used to be a huge fan of RPGs when I was younger, like the Shin Megami Tensei games, like all those ones. And as I got older, I just couldn't find the time to really dedicate. And sometimes there would be like 2 weeks when I could pick it back up again. I'm like, wait, what was I doing? I would get frustrated to that point. But
yeah.
We'll do a few super chats here. So Raider Sailaway says, I'm telling you this, Hollywood is going to be the next Detroit. Is it?
I think so.
You think the city's going to turn into a sort of economic ghost town where by, overtaxation from California, the writer's strike, which, oh man, people just never learn. Unionization is a really bad idea. If you're not happy with your work environment, honestly, man, there's this scene in Reservoir Dogs. Mr. Pink, he turns around and says, don't give me that. She don't make enough money. She can quit. That's really good advice. Like, if you're working in an industry or a job where you're not making enough money and you don't think you can get a raise, just fucking quit, man. Go find somewhere that will pay you a better job. And I know that's tough, hard advice, but it's the only way you're getting more money. That's what I did. I did that twice. Do you know what I mean? And I moved. because if I'd tried to get a raise like at the private school I was working at, it wasn't going to fucking happen, or it was going to be a tiny raise that was just going to be just about keeping up with inflation. But if I just fucking quit and went somewhere that was going to pay me a decent salary, that's a real pay bump. But yeah, the writer's strike, what happened was they made it very expensive for studios to film in California because, well, you know, these are our union rules. So if we're on union turf, then it's going to be really expensive for the production. Okay, guys, here's a better idea. How about fuck you, fuck your union? I'm just going to go film in London. Yeah. That's what happens. And a lot of Hollywood has shifted, and this was very expensive for them to do. They've shifted overseas. A lot of them have gone to England, to London specifically, that sort of area. They're filming in big sound sets over there, sound studios. And like, you know, the union rules don't apply there. So the strikes were a bit of a disaster. That was one of them. That added to California's, you know, egregious taxation and the cost of living crisis, especially in California and Hollywood. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the specifics of Hollywood itself, but and the job market there, but I know that a lot of Silicon Valley has left California, and I could see Hollywood slowly turning into Detroit. Yeah.
Somebody in chat just mentioned Georgia, and that was like the first frontier, really. Now it's going over, like now it's more so going overseas. But Georgia was given a lot of tax breaks and a lot of, like, you know, like you said, almost it's outside of the territory. You can get away with some shit. Not quite as easily within the borders of the United States. A lot of the union rules for SAG-AFTRA and stuff still apply, even if you're not in their, you know, stronghold, so to say. But it was more that like Georgia was really pulling people there with the tax breaks. That's really what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the let's see, London. You mean the news? Not fuck. You don't need to tell me, man. It's grim, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Don't get me started on the UK. I'll be talking forever. Yeah, I mean, the problem with the union is it kind of ignores the fact that borders exist and the SAG-AFTRA, that they don't actually have jurisdiction over the entirety of the globe. And if I was an investor, like, I'm not going to film in a union town. Like, why would I do that? I'm going to say, no, I don't want you to take my $100 million and go to some unionized town. Just go to fucking Georgia or London or New Zealand or something, just somewhere we're not going to have to deal with this wank. And we don't have to abide by all these union rules, which are going to double the cost of our production. It's just very fucking basic common sense.
Well, I did read, someone said this in the chat before, I didn't get to bring it up, but when you asked earlier if there was script doctors or script, you know, like script QCing going on, and no, their version of that nowadays, and I wish I remembered who it was, I would give them credit for it, but it's just having enough diversity in the room and we'll cover all bases, you know, is basically what it is.
That's their attitude.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
They don't have like an expert, like a dude, you know, some fat 55-year-old who's just been around for.
I don't think so. It doesn't seem like it because
knows his shit. Like, and it's not hard. Like, if you take a look at those Malcolm in the Middle scripts, you're like, lads, the biggest problem here is there's no action and there's no subplots.
Yeah,
you need to put episodic subplots in here to keep the viewers engaged, and you need a bunch of action scenes. This is just a bunch of people sitting around talking. It's fucking awful. This is like freshman film studies bad.
Well, here's the thing is they probably do have, I wouldn't be shocked if they do have these script doctors still come in and just no one listens to them because it's how can you tell someone who believes they're absolutely right and this is the exact thing they need to have? How can you make that person believe? Because really in the end, even if you bring in a script doctor, it's not them rewriting it. They're going to give you their line item notes. Hey, you should fix this. You try. They're not going to sit there and rewrite the script. So if it's someone who's just not going to take the advice anyway, it was a pointless thing to do, whether they did it or not.
Yeah, Miku 4x bot says Scott lives matter. Thank you very much for the $5. Scott has died a lot. I love Scott. He's a really good character. He's probably my favorite new character just because he's fun to kill. And I'm trying to think of new inventive ways to kill him. All right.
Oh, is this from your videos? I'm guessing.
Yeah, he's a new character. Every time he comes, he's like Kenny from.
I know you have a lot of characters. It's just I never remember a lot.
Yeah.
I watch so many people's stuff at this point. It all kind of blends together.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Especially when Greg shows up in your video, and I'm like, wait a minute, whose channel am I watching? I don't remember.
Yeah, Despot. Lionheart says Despot Gaming when. It'd be nice to have a gaming channel. Even though I know nobody would watch it, but or it would get not nobody, but the views would be like in the low thousands probably. I don't have time for it, unfortunately. I'm sure Greg would love a gaming channel too, but again, it's just not something we got time for.
No, that's why I go full time.
I do want to do a video about Perfect Dark though. I might call it something like the Dark Genius of Perfect Dark or something clever like that. And it'd just be a positive video talking about how Perfect Dark is able to blend genres to create this very compelling story. It starts out quite a normal kind of spy thriller, futurism kind of story, and then it just goes fucking batshit, and aliens start coming down, and then there's this little alien running around called Elvis, and he's wearing an American flag and everything. But it fucking works. Oh man, I might have to do Perfect Dark at some point because it's just that fucking good, and we'll see how that goes.
I'll tell you what we can do.
Yeah, but I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that.
We don't have to do like full gaming channels, but what we should do is instead of talking about movies or something, one of these streams we should just either play It Takes Two or Split Fiction. We'll play that, and that.
I mean, I'm loving this little gaming segment we do. At least we've got that. You know, that's something.
Yeah.
You know. Have you $20? Thank you very much, Kevin Faulkner. Have you heard or tried playing Solasta 1 or 2? The graphics are rough to say the least, but the gameplay is nice and very 5e.
I haven't heard of Solasta. Hang on, I'm gonna look this up. And also, I know earlier Kevin gave me 15 memberships across 2 things. So thank you very much, Kevin.
Yeah, this definitely looks like it's kind of dated. Just based on it's currently Solasta is 75% off on Steam. So if anybody is interested in it, there's a lot.
It looks like a grid based type thing, which it looks stupid, but if anybody owns a Switch and you've never played the Rabbids or not RTS, but the Rabbids strategy game, Mario Rabbids, it's really, really fun actually. And it's actually
quite... Is it like a tactical, like field type game? Because that's the one you mentioned that has like the grid box.
Yeah, it's a grid style, turn-based tactical thing. You got to pick your characters based on their strengths or whatever, and it's in the Mario Rabbids world or whatever, but it's actually strategically quite deep. And it reminded me of this Solasta game. This looks like a lot of fun in the same way where it looks turn-based and grid-based, and you got to plan your moves out, which looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it looks like, from what I'm reading, it's based in the D&D world. Okay, so that's cool.
Well, this looks like
that's probably a cutscene.
Yeah, that's a cutscene. It's I mean, this is the game trailer.
It's like pre-Baldur's Gate, before Baldur's Gate was big.
When it came to those kind of like the grid style strategic games, I love the more like, well, even the older ones, but the XCOM games were really fun.
Can't say I'm in love with these character designs, to be honest.
They're pretty basic and quite diverse. But then again, you're making your own character, so this is just what it is.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
I wonder when this came out. This looks like a precursor to Baldur's Gate 3. Like, this looks very, very much like that game, which that one's a ton of fun. I played that one on console, and that was another one where I almost quit because of the inventory shit. But this looks like fun.
I wonder, does it have that looks kind of like Civilization, actually, that map.
It says it came out in 2020. This looks definitely looks older than 2020. I'm guessing that this may have had some indie origins before they like got any money.
Yeah, he said the graphics were rough, and he wasn't lying, but it does look like it looks like a fun game though.
Let me see about Solasta 2, because that might, if that looks significantly better, that would all but confirm that it started as an indie game and then they got some money behind them.
I don't know if Solasta 2 is the Crown of the Magister one. I don't know. It looks like there's several iterations or DLCs or something.
The number 2 looks significantly better, but still not amazing.
Shout out to Russ. I don't let his meathead demeanor fool you. Clever and insightful, and will omoplata your arse into oblivion. Well, more like your shoulder. Cheers, mate. Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware.
So I finally got back to training. I was actually on a hiatus for a while because I had to have a back procedure done. So I'm finally back on the mats, and hopefully I'll shed some of this face fat soon. So it's like, what happens when you stop training? All of a sudden you just blow up. It's
just when you stop exercising generally, you get to like, it gets to a point in your life where you get to an age where if you stop exercising, your body's just going to punish you for it. So if I stop exercising, I pulled a back muscle doing baby car. Did that ever happen to you, Greg?
What's that?
Did you ever pull a back just looking after one of your babies?
Oh God, yeah. Hell, I pulled a back muscle sneezing one time because I turned to sneeze and then it.
Yeah. Funny enough, that actually happened to me last week. I didn't pull the muscle. I kind of tweaked it, and I've been struggling a little bit the past week, but it's slowly getting better. But
Ugh.
I need to exercise. If I don't, my body gets stiff, and the
Yeah.
back, it's the back pull from like a year ago. It starts to kind of get crampy and then get worse, and then my gut will expand. Like, so I need to exercise regularly, otherwise my body just degenerates. I mean, that didn't used to happen like 10 years ago. My body would be fine if I didn't exercise, but now it's a must.
No, it's funny. Like even the stuff that pops up in my like the algorithms that feed me, like it used to just be all goofy slapstick comedy or dudes throwing rocks in frozen lakes or some shit, which it still is a lot of that. But it's also every now and then the guys are like, if your back feels tight, here's some stretches, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'm gonna save that one. That's a good stretch right there.
I actually had, so basically what I had to have done, because nothing was working anymore, I had to have what was called a radio frequency ablation. They essentially went in and burned off all the nerves of my lower spine and just like the sides. And I said it's the medical equivalency of when your car is making a weird noise and you just turn up the radio real loud. Because I still have the problems. I just don't know about them anymore.
Is that, could you tell me what the name of that is? That like a
radio frequency ablation?
Can you just volunteer for that? Can I go get that right now?
Well, first they do what's called a medial branch block, which is they inject your back with like basically epidural needles. And if that doesn't work,
fuck that.
So yeah, I took about 6 months off while my back was being worked on. So I'm finally glad I could be back on the mats.
I watched my wife get one of those. I did pass out. I was that dude in the delivery room. I went down when I saw that 2 foot long needle go in her spine.
My wife couldn't do it either time. Like giving birth to either of our kids, she just wouldn't do the epidural. It's like, fuck, that is not going in my spine.
I had what was called adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulder, which is when the muscle, basically your deltoid muscles, they petrify in place and you just can't move them. They had to go in through my back. They use like ultrasound to find the spot between your shoulder blades, and it's one of those same epidural needles. They go in the back because there's a bone here, so they can't get through. So they have to go through the back. I've had quite a few injuries. I could do a whole stream on the injuries.
The point is,
guy stream,
listeners. That the point is, don't let yourself get out of shape. Keep at it, keep exercising.
Make sure you take your chondroitin.
You're not doing it to look like Chad. You're not doing it for your fucking awesome 6-pack so you can smash bitches. You're doing it so that you can fucking walk around and be in good health. All right. Kevin Faulkner, I enjoyed Split Fiction based on Greg's recommendation. Good stuff, guys. Thank you very much, Kevin Faulkner.
I'm glad. Thanks, Kevin.
Generosity. All right. So the final topic we're going to look at, I was going to talk a little bit about beef, but I'm not going to lie. I know for a fact no one gives a fuck. So,
I don't even know what the hell beef. When you said beef, I thought we were going to be talking about like burgers or something. I was like, what the fuck is...
I hadn't heard of it, but I thought you had an interesting idea though there about how Netflix season 2s always suck. And
yeah. So I'll very briefly state that I watched Beef season 2. I really liked season 1. I thought it was great. Season 2, it was good. It wasn't as good, but honestly, I'm not about to sit here and talk for 15 fucking minutes about beef because no one knows what the hell it is. Instead, we're going to talk about shit season 2. You could call this the season 2 problem. There's even a name for it, right? The sophomore slump.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a TV thing. It happens with albums. It happens in music. It happens with directors. They start with maybe a really good debut or at the very least a really good second movie, and then they just can't live up to it again.
Yeah.
Good example would be, say, Trainspotting by Danny Boyle made this incredible movie. It was the second movie, Trainspotting, and he really struggled to follow it up. He did eventually get it right with 28 Days Later. He made a movie as good or close to as good as Trainspotting, but immediately afterward, it was just dog shit. It's happened with bands like Oasis famously. Although I don't know, man, Be Here Now is amazing. That was a great follow-up to Morning Glory, but it was felt that it wasn't as good and it had big imperfections, and it wasn't as poppy. That's actually what I like about it. Anyway, the sophomore slump's a real thing, and we're going to talk about some shit season 2s and why shows so often go wrong in the second season. So there's a lot of examples we could go through. The ones that I pulled for this were Westworld had a infamous second season, which killed the show. Twin Peaks. This is what people forget about Twin Peaks. amazing first season. And then David Lynch lost control of the show, and it turned into this really weird, awful sitcom. And it was absolutely fucking dreadful, the second season. And then David Lynch had to come back to finish the second season because everyone said, what the fuck is this? And he made it good again. So the last few episodes of season 2 are actually really good. And he brought back the interesting sort of mystery and the lore aspect of it. But that had a terrible second season. Stranger Things season 2 was awful. Massive step down from season 1. Heroes was another famous one. This was actually a writer's strike victim, but there was a lot wrong with season 2. It wasn't just that it was badly written; it was that it was poor in concept. We'll get onto that. Arcane doesn't have a second season because season 2 of Arcane never happened. So I don't know why I put that poster there.
It did not. I really, I wish they'd get to making that, but
yeah,
well,
no, they're never gonna make it, Greg. It's not gonna happen. It was just one season. The Walking Dead.
I tried to simp for season 2 right after it came out on with Platoon and
I
remember that.
I just wanted to believe that it was good.
You mean the show that I booked you for?
Hard.
I was listening to that.
Yes,
and I was
right.
Thinking, oh, Greg,
he was a front row witness to me trying.
I was listening to that, and the whole time I was thinking, oh man, Greg is off his fucking head on copium.
I can confirm that was of all the times I've seen you on something, that was the time where the audience was like, who's this fucking idiot? Like, what is he talking about?
I tried so hard. Oh God.
I'll never forget that.
I was looking back, they were like, you're doing so much writing. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's there. No. Everybody was fucking right. I don't know.
Well,
I just
I
wanted
recall
to believe
correctly,
it so bad.
If I recall correctly, Greg, I think because they busted it up into segments, and I don't think all of them had come out yet.
I wish I had been there because I was listening to it and everyone was being really polite to Greg, and I was just thinking, if I was there, I would rip this guy's fucking head off. I just like, Greg, what shite are you talking? You're out of your head on copium, man. What the fuck?
Oh, it was bad.
You were being too polite.
It was Final Fantasy 15 all over again. I wanted to love it. I tried to make myself. But now I face the truth. Sorry, Walking Dead.
You're allowed to have a bad take, Greg. You're usually pretty solid.
No, we all have a bad one from time to time. True Detective. A lot of people were fucking furious about that second season. They thought it was because the first one started so well. Squid Game season 2. Fuck me. Squid Game season 1 was amazing, and then season 2 was bad. Season 3 was atrocious. So, what are your thoughts, guys? Like, why do shows struggle so hard with the second season and actually, they just struggle to live up to a great first season?
I think for Netflix in particular, Netflix, I think, has a unique problem. It's a good and a bad thing because they'll kind of famously greenlight fucking anything. They don't care. A lot of people talk about their big wins, like, Sony fucking, they sold K-pop Demon Hunters, sucks for them. Netflix didn't believe in it either. They barely advertised. It was on their front page like a week before it came out, and it was a smash hit. But it was one of 1,000 shows they made last year. They don't give a fuck. But then when a season pops off, they'll tell the creators, all right, season 2, let's go. And oftentimes, like with Squid Game especially, there was no plan for season. There was nothing. I mean, the mystery was the show ran its arc. I mean, it was complete. The season 1 of Squid Game is perfect all by itself. It wraps up fine. There is the loose end of like the police officer and his brother and the front man and all that. But for the most part, the whole mystery of why the game exists and the whole existential exploration that it does and all of the things that they are bookended very nicely. You do not need to go on, but Netflix says, yep, we need to keep going. But all their good ideas are gone. When you pitch this idea, I was thinking about Netflix has this kind of weird thing where a lot of kids shows get really gay in the second season. It's something that I noticed as a parent that, we like a season and then season 2, they're like, and a lot of gay characters. But I think that it's not so much that they introduce gay characters, as they don't have any other ideas. A couple of years ago, there was this animated show called The Hollow. And if you've never seen it, the first season, fucking cool show. It was an animated show. 3 people wake up. They don't know where they are. Crazy stuff starts happening. It's a really cool twist. Really, really cool show. But again, totally one idea. And then Netflix clearly said, okay, guys, season 2, and they didn't have any ideas at all. And so they were like, well, what if some of the kids are gay and their parents are gay? And like, so I don't think that they push it because it's what they want to push. I think they have no other ideas and they think it sounds interesting. And that happens a ton, especially with Netflix shows, is they greenlight one thing, it takes off and they want more, but nobody ever expected it to do more. So they never wrote it for more. That's it.
Rev Blue Moon says writers have one good idea, and because they're completely lacking in life and experience, they don't know how to sustain it. I mean, that was certainly the case with Squid Game. Like, that first season was kind of a giant metaphor for the life experience of this guy, because he had written Squid Game and couldn't get it made, couldn't get it greenlit. And then he kept rewriting it as his life got worse and he got poorer and poorer to the point where he was just fucking broke. And he was iterating it over years. Like, he really took his time with that. And all these themes and personal experiences ended up infused into this great work of art, Squid Game season 1. And that was his life experience. And that's it created this amazing season of TV. And then after that was over, he had said what he wanted to say. He had expressed all of that. And, you know, what was there after that? You know, what did he have to say after he had made his statement about the crushing psychological reality of poverty, and the bizarre fantasies that can lead to, and the worries and so forth, and the desperation that people feel, all expressed in this amazing show. So yeah, the lack of life experience there, the lack of variety in life experience could have certainly led to that bad second season.
I do think Greg is pretty spot on with most of what he said. Well, actually, everything he said. Nothing was wrong there. But I do think that it used to be not necessarily a sophomore slump. If you recall, like years ago, it used to be like the third, fourth season was where a lot of things tanked off. More recently, it's the second season. And I think that it's because, like you said, they don't plot it out. So you can sometimes slingshot into a second season because you had some leftover ideas you didn't use. But I do think there is a problem with the turnover rate for a lot of these shows. You know, a lot of them get one season, and that's it. You know, even on network television, a lot of shows get canceled very quickly. So I think not only is the inexperience of the writers, but they are also blowing their load on the first season. They're using every single idea they have, or at least every single idea that they could fit into the season logically. And then, you know, if they do happen to have some leftover ones, they'll use in the second one. Then by the third time, they haven't plotted it out, and now they're just scraping. It's almost that you can kind of almost see this with certain shows. I've been trying my hardest to make a Daredevil Born Again season 2 video, and there's just nothing in any of these episodes, except in certain ones there'll be like this one epicenter, this little cool scene with actual decent writing, and you're like, you can pinpoint that's where that episode or that writing started, and they built everything else around after it. And I think that's one of the issues is people write, they have a string of very simple ideas that are barely held together, and they put a bunch of bullshit around it, and it's disguised because those ideas are still solid, and then they get worse and worse, and that's when it falls off.
Another aspect of it is that the showrunners and very much the studio as well will misidentify what the viewers want, and they'll give them more of that thing, and that wasn't what the viewers wanted. Heroes was an excellent example of this. I remember when Heroes came out, that was an amazing season 1 of TV. Like, if you were to go back and watch Heroes season 1 today, you'd think this is amazing. It's got mystery. It's got a really, really cool mystery aspect, but it's also very well paced. It's fun as hell. It's entertaining. It's got great characters. It has fucking smoking hot women and hot guys. You know, everybody looks great. They've got amazing chemistry. It's this forgotten lightning in a bottle moment. It's like this amazing TV moment that the culture forgot because they wanted to forget it because the follow-ups were so fucking terrible. And one of the reasons Heroes season 2 was so bad, the studio and the writers, and I remember this because I read the interviews at the time, they can cope and say, oh, it was the writer's strike. No, I remember at the time, you fucks, you said, we thought that what the audience really liked was seeing new heroes discover their powers. So in season 2, we kept adding more and more heroes discovering their powers. And that's not what anybody wanted. They're like, no, we're happy with the cast that we have now. We just want to see their story and see where this whole thing goes. And we want the mystery to unravel over the course of the season. We don't want any more fucking characters, okay? Nobody else is invited to this party. We've got enough characters. That's what they wanted. And instead, they just kept bringing in every fucking episode a new hero discovering their powers again. It's like, this is just a watered down repeat of season 1, except shit. So that's what they were doing. They were just force feeding more of the same shit to the audience. Like, it was a necessary component to season 1, but it wasn't what made it great. What made it great, if you were to pinpoint one thing, it was the mystery aspect of season 1 that was really, really good, and people wanted to see that pursued, and the lore aspect and the interaction between the characters. Nobody gave a fuck really about individual superheroes, about like emphasizing the superhero aspect. And it became a case of what Syndrome said: when everyone is super, no one is. Like, there were too many superheroes. It's like this. None of these people feel special anymore because you just keep adding more and more and more superheroes. So that was one aspect. That was when the studio identified a thing that they thought the audience liked, but they actually didn't like, and they fucked up the show as a result. Arcane season 2, so much went wrong with that. Apparently 2 of the main creatives left, but so many things went wrong with that. It was like they were trying to pack 3 seasons of TV into 1 season, and a lot of the time they had to resort to these long, pretentious musical montages, which were all supposed to represent a story arc, and there were tons of them, and it became actually quite irritating. There was so much wrong with that. I would love to see someone sort of uncover the disaster of Arcane, where you're not just actually talking about why the show was bad, but you're sort of going behind the scenes and talking about what the fuck they were thinking when they were making this. Like, how did it get this bad? Like, what was the thought process of the creatives that fucked it up so completely? Greg, no one can hear you. Your mic,
oh, yeah.
You're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself because I was. Yeah, I agree. I would love to see like what was the plan and what cuts did they have to make to smash 2-3 seasons into 1 season or whatever. I would love that.
Yeah, well, let's finish up with a few super chats. We had a couple more come in. Angerius says, for $5, hey Despot, did you rewatch KBDH? I know there's a lot of videos on the music and Korean lore, but does the writing still hold up on rewatches? K-pop Demon Hunters he's talking about?
Yeah.
No, I haven't rewatched it, but Greg hasn't many times.
Sorry.
Greg, I know you've rewatched it, or you've been subjected to rewatches of it.
I've watched it probably 20 times at this point, or I've been in the room when it's been on, and I 100% sing along with it. Absolutely.
It actually, the writing for K-pop Demon Hunters. So I've probably seen it double the amount of times Greg's seen it, and that's on my own. It wasn't because it was just on in the room. I put it on to watch it, and I uncover new things like little details every time that I'm like, shit, I didn't notice that. I think I said it on the stream with you guys. Like something as simple as the fact that Mira as a character, her whole thing is keeping people away from her, and her arm, her weapon is a pole arm, and it's the weapon designed to keep a person as far away from you as possible for its era. So it's like just little details like that you start to notice.
Yeah, and that's another one. It's very much like Squid Game, where that show I believe took 7 or 9 years of writing, and it was kind of this labor of love type of thing that the creators worked on a little bit at a time, and they did all this research, and they pulled in all of this history and folklore and just it was this. Yeah, every detail of it means something. And I think they are going to make more of them, but I believe it's slated for 28 or 29. So that
29.
I think Netflix realizes that they do need to give that one a little more time to cook. Hopefully they do something good with it, but it is hard to replicate that amount of detail, that amount of research, that amount of love and care on demand right away.
Yeah.
Also not cheapen the first movie. That's the hardest part, because the whole thing is based on sacrifice, and if you undo any of the sacrifices, it kind of cheapens the whole experience.
Because I could see JK, Ginu's actually alive because somehow
you know how we don't want any more reboots, or we don't want to see our old franchises touched. Like, no Back to the Future fans are asking Hollywood to make more of them. If Hollywood announced like a new Back to the Future project, the fan base would be pretty fucking angry. They'd be like, no, don't do this. 99% of them would just be like, stop. We know what you're going to do, and we don't want it. Just leave it alone. It's almost like sequels and season 2s are getting so bad now that people are like that. And they don't want, like, there's a segment of the K-pop Demon Hunters fan base. It's like, no, please, no, Netflix, don't do it. We know what you're going to do, and we don't want to see that.
Don't do any of it.
But they're going to do it, and it's going to be bad. It is. We know it's going to be bad.
There's
Godzilla
really only
minus,
one story they can do, and I'm not sure if they realize it. And it's the third Starlight sister. Well, like what happened to her, and if she turns out to be a villain, that's the only way that it could actually work. It's
yeah.
They might have to do a prequel.
Yeah.
Joey Bag of Donuts. Yeah, they might have to do like a different group. That's not going to work though, because the problem is you have to think about merch sales. The characters, those three main characters, are so popular with the fan base. You can't just drop them and have three new. That's like what Heroes did. Do you know what I mean? That's why that show went to fucking pieces. So you have to use the same characters again. So it is a very challenging sort of second sophomore effort for K-pop Demon Hunters. I think it's a doomed task, to be honest. Poison Chalice. Joey Bag of Donuts says for $1.99, Godzilla minus zero, sophomore slump, incoming, love seeing DH. Yeah, I mean, no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to live up to Godzilla minus one, which I think might actually be the best movie of the 20s so far. I don't see how they can live up to that. They can't. But if they make a good movie, I think that's enough. I don't think you can ask them to capture lightning in a bottle twice. That is not realistic. But if they're able to do it if they're able to just make a good movie, I think that'd be enough for me. It doesn't need to be amazing because I have realistic expectations. Hold on, let me see the super chat here. I think there's one more. Look at these misogynists. Why didn't you invite Karen iPhone to this meeting? She identifies as a real woman. Karen iPhone's actually not going to be in the next video. She has been replaced for one video. My co-host will be Mr. Reflection. Karen iPhone's getting work done. She's become a plastic surgery addict. By the way, my next video.
She's having her screen refinished.
Yeah, my next video is not going to be out for like 6 weeks because it's going to be extremely long. I'm covering like 16 movies in it. And let's see. The last one is from Limited Cheetah. In modern shows, season 1 is the bait. Season 2 is a fairly mid injection of the message. Season 3, it's mask off. Older shows, it's just not having the inspiration. That was certainly the case with, I would say, The Boys. Like The Boys followed that pattern exactly. I tuned in to watch a few season 4 episodes to see how bad it was because I was curious. And I wasn't prepared for just how bad it was. Like, it was shocking. Like the shameless level of propaganda, of like far left political propaganda, it was actually quite disgusting. And the lack of effort as well. Like, it was the most low effort propaganda imaginable. Like they had this little convention, which was just a sort of straw man for white racist ticks. And then recently we discovered that a lot of the real life examples of white supremacists in the States were actually psyops paid for by the SPLC, which has dated that shite even worse now.
Yeah,
they weren't even strawmanning real stuff. They were strawmanning stuff which was already a fake strawman, a psyop. So
The Boys is funny because it's one of those things where the show creators and even the fans kept wanting to remind everybody, it's actually about you. You're not supposed to like it. Homelander is you. And, right-leaning conservative people, wherever, they're like, yeah, we get it. Like, we get what you're saying, but it's still just a fun show. Like, seasons 1 and 2 were pretty fun. We get the metaphor. It's fine. Like, he's still an interesting character, and it was an interesting show. And it was one of those things. It was like what was the creator of the Watchmen? It was like a similar type
Alan
thing
Moore,
where just, you guys don't fucking get it. You're supposed to you hate this character, and then they just went off the deep end.
Yeah, Alan Moore with Rorschach.
Media literate. You just lack media literacy. That's your problem, you see.
Yeah.
Well, it's Garth Ennis, the writer of The Boys, was actually inspired a lot by Alan Moore. And the thing about Garth Ennis, he is a very liberal writer. I guess liberal by American standards. I know it means different things in other countries. Left-leaning. But he was at least good enough of a writer to be subtle about it. It seems like the showrunners just took any subtlety out of that. And they're just like, just hammer it as hard as they can.
I'm very nervous that Matt Dinman, the author of Dungeon Crawler Carl, he's going to pull the same Alan Moore type situation, because his comments recently, like, I guess somebody told him you have to hate the critical drinker, so he had to make a whole statement about that. He's been making statements about how, like, I'm a super liberal guy, and when Operation Bounce House comes out, you're going to see Just Where My Politics Lie and all that. And it's like, I've read all the Carl books. I know that Dinniman is a left leaning guy. Like he's not hiding it, but he is a very good writer, and his stories have a lot of depth. If you guys have never read these, like, yes, this crazy video game Running Man, there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of emotion in these books. Like, they're really fantastic books. Clearly he is a left kind of a guy, but he does add a lot of layers, a lot of nuance and whatever. And now that he's got like movie deals and there's a board game, and basically he's getting picked up mainstream, and they're clearly, I mean, somebody obviously called him and said, hey bud, you have to start shit talking the people that we don't like. And he fucking came out guns blazing. I'm really nervous that not this book that's coming out in May. I think it's gonna be great. I'm afraid that his future books, he's gonna do the same thing, where he's gonna be like, oh, they didn't get it. I have to really make it plain for the audience, and they're gonna fucking suck. And I'm so worried because this series is phenomenal so far.
And then one final chat from our RTNZ. Should Clichy have marched when he heard the guns despite his orders? Would that have reduced the Prussians' impact enough for Napoleon to win? He's talking about the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon sent Grouchy off with 33,000 men to pursue the Russians, and then the big main battle happened, and Grouchy couldn't participate because he was already too far away. Yes, if you had the additional men, the problem as well with Waterloo was Napoleon was sick a lot of the time, so Ney was actually doing the sort of on-the-field generaling, and Ney was doing a very poor job of it. So he was, for example, he was attacking the British squares without infantry support, which is a very basic tactical error. When Napoleon sort of came back from vomiting, he realized and tried to clean up Ney's mess. I don't know. The problem is, what do you think a victory at Waterloo looks like? You know, is he able to split the British army in two, surround and capture them, and deal with the Prussians? And then what? You're hoping to split the political alliance apart, and I don't even think that anything short of a massive major victory at Waterloo would not have allowed Napoleon to regain power. He also hadn't consolidated his power or his army well enough by that stage. Maybe if he had won Waterloo and a couple of follow-up victories, he could have set himself up in France. But even that, I mean, it wouldn't have made that much of a difference long term, because he would have just been he would have been dead. I think he died of stomach cancer, like in 1821. So he lives for a little bit. His son takes over. You get probably a fairly incompetent Napoleonic dynasty in France, and I still think France sort of goes up in flames in 1848 during the Great European Revolutions. So I think the impact of Waterloo is massively overrated. What people should really be thinking about is the Battle of the Four Nations, the Battle of Leipzig. That was a massive turning point in European history, and had Napoleon won that decisively, things would have turned out very differently, and that would certainly have smashed the political alliance. But I think it was too late by Waterloo. That's just, I would call that pop history. It's easy to think that Waterloo would have changed anything, but it really wouldn't have. The Battle of Leipzig is where it was sort of make or break for Napoleon, and he lost that, and that was really the end of it. All right, so that is our show. We hope you enjoyed it. And the next
one more super chat, by the way.
All right, thanks for letting me know. One more super chat. Got to disagree with Roos. The Boys comic and show is ripped off of Pat Mills' Martial Law in 1987, which did everything it did better and smarter.
I mean, right. I didn't say that he was ripping off Alan Moore. Garth Ennis actually has stated that Alan Moore was like an inspiration to him, though. So,
all right. Well, yeah, that's our episode of the Greg and Despot Show. I don't think we're going to change the name. We're just going to keep it nice and simple. That's easy to remember. Greg and Despot Show. I even put Greg's name first just to make him feel special. Just to make him feel.
I was going to say that's not alphabetical at all.
All right. Actually, it just sounds better. I thought Despot and Greg Show doesn't sound as good, so it's better with Greg's name at the start. All right, so that's it. And thanks very much to Dark R for guesting with us today. The next episode of the show will be hosted by Greg whenever he's available. So there you go. Thanks again for listening, and have a great day or night.